Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This is story about what if Naruto finds an ancient scroll part 1. Before I start, please do support for more amazing content and comments for part 2. Do consider to subscribe my channel and share my video to your friends and check out the description as well. Let's start the video. It was nighttime when the young shinobi in training jumped down in the forest. He was wearing a bright orange jumpsuit, a set of green goggles, and had a scroll his size in his back. One of the unusual things about him was his sun-kissed blonde hair, ocean blue eyes, and 3 whisker marks on each cheek. That was close, said Uzumaki Naruto, as he sat and unfurled the scroll. This was the scroll of sealing, a scroll that had all sorts of Kage-level jutsu within it. Naruto had been told by his sensei Mizuki to retrieve the scroll and learn a jutsu from it as extra credit, then Iruka-sensei would pass him, for Naruto had failed his 3rd genin exam in a row. Let's get started, he mused, looking over the scroll. Kage Bunshin? He muttered. That looks interesting. Moving on, he saw a bunch of other jutsu. In a moment of insight, he retrieved a blank scroll from the pouch on his back, and began copying down jutsu. When he got to something called Shursho Fujin, he saw a spiral below it. Is that a seal of sorts? Struggling to remember what Iruka-sensei had taught him about seals, he faintly remembered that some needed blood to open. Biting his thumb, he rubbed the blood across the seal, and in a puff of smoke, another scroll appeared. What the why does this have my name on it? Said Naruto, squinting his eyes. Deciding to review it later, he put it in his pouch and got to work on learning Kage Bunshin. A couple of hours later, Yumino Iruka found a beaten and panting Naruto on the ground. Landing in front of his student, he growled, "I found you." Naruto repeated back, "Found you, nosebleeder." "Dumbass! I found you!" yelled Iruka. "What the hell are you doing?" "Learning," said Naruto cheekily. "But I only managed to learn 1 jutsu, but I guess I can be a genin now, right?" That made Iruka suspicious. "Naruto, where did you find out about that scroll?" "Mizuki-sensei told me about it, and about this place too," said Naruto, trailing off as Iruka gazed off into space. Iruka sprung into action, tossing Naruto away as a hail of kunai came out of nowhere and impacted, hitting Iruka in various places. Iruka shrugged off the pain, and pulled out the kunai, muttering, "So that's how it is." Mizuki, wearing a Konoha bandana and 2 overly large shuriken, crouched on a tree branch. "Nice job in finding him," he said to Iruka, then turned his attention to Naruto. "Nice job, Naruto, now give me the scroll." "Don't do it!" shouted Iruka, pulling out the last kunai. "That scroll has jutsu collected by the past Hokages, many of them too dangerous to use. Mizuki used you to get the scroll." Naruto looked up and Mizuki, to see his former teacher grin evilly. "I guess there's no point in delaying," said Mizuki. "Naruto, do you know why the whole village hates you?" Knowing where this was going, Iruka yelled in panic, "No, Mizuki, you can't! It's forbidden!" Ignoring Iruka, Mizuki continued. "Roughly 12 years ago, you know how the Kyuubi no Kitsune attacked? Well, immediately after that, there was a new law made. But that law was never meant to be said to you, or anyone for that matter." "What law?" said Naruto, feeling uneasy. "Stop, Mizuki!" shouted Iruka, who went ignored. Mizuki chuckled evilly, and said, "Yoname Hokage-sama wasn't able to kill the Kyuubi, so he sealed it away into the body of a baby. And you were that baby!" Laughing, Mizuki finished with, "That's why everyone hates you, you're the dreaded Kyuubi no Kitsune." Naruto was dumbstruck. It explained the hatred of the villagers, and why he was beaten to near death on his own birthday. Faintly hearing Mizuki yell how even Iruka hated him because of his parents' deaths, he just stood there as Mizuki threw one of his overly large shuriken at him. When he felt blood hit his face, he snapped out of his stupor to see that Iruka had taken the shuriken in the back. "Why?" he croaked out. "Because," Iruka said, tears streaming down his face, "you're just like me. It must have been hard, hiding all that pain, but I can't hate you, not you." Falling to the side, Iruka rolled onto his seat to pull the shuriken out of his back. Mizuki rushed him, yelling, "Fine, demon lover! I'll just kill you both and take the scroll for myself." He was cut off by a knee to the face. Iruka was now feeling massive amounts of pain, and unable to help. "Naruto, run! Get away! Protect the scroll with your life!" Naruto stood the scroll on end, and said, "But the comrades come first, isn't that what you taught us, Iruka-sensei?" By this time, Mizuki had recovered and stood. "Comrades! PFFTT, you're just like me, demon brat! You have all that power, and—" "Shut up," said Naruto, glaring at Mizuki while putting his hands in a cross-shaped seal. "You hurt Iruka-sensei, and I'll return his pain to you 1,000-fold." Go on, QB! Yelled Mizuki, pulling another large shuriken, and he immediately wished he hadn't said that. Surrounding the area were at least 1,000 Narutos. Courtesy of Kage Bunshin no Jutsu. Both Irika and Mizuki were gobsmacked. Irika thought he mastered a S-ranked ninjutsu. Mizuki turned his head, scared out of his wits. What the? The lead Naruto grinned and said, if you're done pissing, it's time for an ass-kicking. The forest was then introduced to Mizuki's wails. Looking down at the unconscious Mizuki, Naruto rubbed his head sheepishly and said, I think I overdid it. Irika grinned and sat up. Naruto, come here, he said. I have something for you. Close your eyes. Naruto did so, and when Irika told him to open them, the first thing he saw was Irika's headbandless face. Congrats on passing, said Irika, grinning. Naruto tackle-hugged Irika, saying, thank you, over and over. Many moments later found Naruto at his little apart, looking over the jutsu he had copied. It was then that he remembered the other scroll, and pulled it out. He saw another seal on it, and biting his thumb once more, rubbed it over the seal. He then read the scroll. To Uzumaki Naruto. If you are reading this, then all has gone as planned. Naruto, you may not know me, but I know you. My name is Namikaze Minato, but I am known as Yandame Hokage. You are my only son and heir, and I hope you can forgive me for what I'm about to do. My son, it is with a heavy heart that I do this, but too many have died already, and no more need to. The Kyuubi no Kitsune is attacking, and I intend to make it so that it can't hurt anyone else. So I am forced to seal it with you, my son. You may hate me for this, but I am out of options. You are the only chance our village has for survival, and with your mother, my beloved wife Kushina, gone, I feel like I have nothing to live for. If I could, I would seal it elsewhere, but I cannot. You are the only one able to hold it. With the jutsu I made, the Kyuubi will be locked away, but I will be forced to pass on. The Kyuubi approaches, so I must end here. You are the last of our mighty clan, and you will be in constant danger because of it. Our clan information is below, so please keep it to yourself, at least until you can defend yourself. I hope that you will be seen as a hero, but a nagging feeling says otherwise. Once more, I am sorry for this, and I love you with all my heart. Your loving father. Namikaze Minato, Yandame Hokage. When Naruto finished reading it, he wiped the tears from his eyes. Baka, he murmured. But you did it to save me, and everyone else, he grinned, hugging to scroll to his chest. Arigato Minato Tsusan. Wiping away his tears, he looked to see another seal. Unsealing it, out popped a scroll roughly his size, and he unfurled it to read it. To whom it may concern. If you are reading this, then our legacy lives on. You, reader, are the last of our clan, the Tenryujin clan. We were among the most powerful shinobi in the elemental countries, at their making. This was due to our Dijitsu, the Rinnegan. With it, we were nigh unstoppable. Unfortunately, due to unknown reasons, our clan produced mainly females. For every 3 female Tenryujin, there was 1 male. And our clan started dying off, also due to unknown reasons, so those of us left relocated to Mizu no Kuni. But then, the first bloodline war came, and we were nearly annihilated. There were roughly 12 of us then, and by the time we made it to Hai no Kuni, that number was reduced by half. To protect our identities, we changed our names to Namikaze, and have remained here in Konohagakure for 50 years. Naruto lowered his head. He had a family, but they were all dead, killed in the Kyuubi attack. He narrowed his eyes. That Kyuubi was the reason he had no family. But since he had his father's techniques, he would find some way to make it suffer. Shaking his head, had moved on. Rinnegan. To activate, the user has to mold chakra in their eyes, and it will activate. Upon activation, the first level is already accessible. It is possible to use 2 levels at once, but it will take more chakra to keep the eyes on. Naruto closed his eyes, took a deep breath, put his hands in the ram's seal, and opened them. His vision was a bit sharpened, so he got up and looked in his mirror, and there his eyes widened. His eyes had turned a shimmering orange, and he had no pupil. He could also see a small black triangle at the top of his iris. Grinning, he went back to his scroll. The Rinnegan has 5 levels. When the Rinnegan is in use, the user's eyes will lose the pupils, and will glow a specific color for each level, and have a small triangle to represent each level. Once all 5 levels are unlocked, the user will possess 5 triangles going around the iris, forming an apparent pentagon. However, to unlock each level, certain conditions must be met, and no levels can be skipped. When the user wants to use a specific level, they must say Rinnegan no Tomo, then the level/power name. To activate a specific ability, They must say either ichi or anai, when applicable. Sweet, said Naruto, and he looked down further to see what he had gained. Tomo 1 Kanchi, Perception. Level 1 allows the user to see all details, to the point of being able to duplicate anything being done before them. The user can also see up to a maximum of 1.5 miles away. Level 2 allows the user X-ray vision, and they act similar to the Byakugan of the Hyuga clan in this aspect, from seeing tenketsu to seeing foreign objects in the body. Kanchi is obtained when the user first activates their Jujutsu. When in use, the user's eyes glow orange with one black triangle. On a side note, to use level 1 and 2 at the same time requires the user to say san. Naruto rubbed his chin thoughtfully. Going outside and jumping to the roof of his apartment, he decided to test it out. Looking towards the Hokage monument, he said Rinnegan no Tomo, Kanchi and I. Immediately, he could see the monument close up, and he could see each of the Kage's faces in clear detail. Grinning, he jumped down, and went back inside. He went back to the scroll to see what was next. Tomo 2 Kanetsu Heat. Level 1 allows the user to see any heat given off, from fire to body heat. Level 2 allows the user to see any chakra, from residue to being produced. Kanetsu is obtained when the user has increased their natural eyesight by at least 50. When in use, the user's eyes glow yellow with two black triangles. Damn, how am I supposed to do that, he said. Thinking, he then decided to go see the Hokage later on. Sandame looked wearily at Naruto's profile. His picture showed him with red face paint around his eyes, a red line going from his lower lip to his chin, and from the bottom of his eyes to his ears. Well, it could have been worse, he thought to himself. I'm still trying to figure out why you did that, he said to Naruto. Naruto grinned and said, it's a surprise, and I wanted to make at least look decent. This is going in the shinobi records. And you're supposed to be wearing your hataite. I know, said Naruto, but he trailed off hearing the door creak. Suddenly, a small child with a cap and a ridiculously long scarf ran in yelling, Aji-san, fight me! Then he tripped over the scarf and fell on his face. Sitting up quickly, he said, all right, who tripped me? Into the room came a man with black glasses, a bandana, and wearing all black. He glared at Naruto, and then said, Honorable grandson, are you all right? No one set a trap. Who is this kid, thought Naruto, as the kid's gaze centered on him. You tripped me, said the kid, rushing Naruto. Naruto picked him up by the front of his shirt and shot back, you tripped on your own clothes, you idiot. Hey, said Ebisu, the man in black. Put him down. He's Konohamaru, the honorable grandson. Socking Konohamaru on his head, Naruto growled, and you assume I care? With that, he turned on his heel and left, heedless of the sputtering Ebisu. Walking down the street, he put on his goggles and began experimenting with his newfound Jujutsu discreetly. Okay, Kanetsu lets me see details and nearly 2 miles away with level 1, and level 2 lets me see through things maybe, I'll be able to find my clan home, and then I can move there. He caught movement behind him, and sighed. Turning off his Jujutsu, he pulled his goggles up and spun saying, come on out, that's not fooling anyone. Pulling down the cloth he was holding wrong, Konohamaru grinned and said, so, the rumors are true. Pointing at him, he said, I know, you can be my Taisho 1, and you be able to help me beat Grandpa. Squinting, Naruto muttered, Taicho? Later found Konohamaru and Naruto sitting on a log, resting after Konohamaru was trying to learn Naruto's Oryoku no Jutsu. Why do you want to beat your grandpa so much? He asked Konohamaru. Grandpa named me Konohamaru, said the boy, looking down. And because of that, no one acknowledges me as that I'm just the honorable grandson to them. And I'm sick of that, that's why I want to be Hokage. Get in line, said Naruto, ignoring Konohamaru's surprised look. I'm gonna be Hokage first, but it ain't easy. If you want the name of Hokage, he looked at Konohamaru and grinned. You better beat me first. Found you, said Ebisu, looking on them both. He glared at Naruto. How dare the Kyuubi brat taint the honorable grandson? Naruto glared right back, while Konohamaru said, I'm gonna beat Grandpa and be Hokage. Don't get in my way. Ebisu was about to launch into his tirade about the points of being Hokage when Konohamaru shouted, Henge! In a puff of smoke, Konohamaru was replaced by a beautiful naked brunette. Oryoku no Jutsu. She giggled. Ebisu gaped. Konohamaru went back to normal, and Ebisu yelled, as such a vulgar skill. I am a gentleman. Such a low-class skill is useless against me. Grabbing Konohamaru's scarf, he tried to drag him off. Come, honorable grandson, hanging around the likes of him will rot your brain. I don't want to go, I don't want to go, I don't want to go. You're coming with me and that's that, Because I'm your shortcut to becoming Hokage, said Ebisu, and then he heard Kage Bunshin no Jutsu. Turning around, he saw a line of Naruto's. I'm not as weak as Mizuki, said he. I am a Tokubetsu Jounin. He trailed off when all the Naruto said, Henge. Ebisu soon found himself surrounded by no less than 20 beautiful naked blondes, all of whom were cooing his name. Chivalry be damned, he was still a red-blooded male, so he did what any red-blooded male would do. He rocketed off in a geyser of blood. Dispelling his clones, Naruto grinned and said, Meet my Harimu no Jutsu. He turned from the unconscious Ebisu to the cursing Konohamaru and said, Hey kid, the title of Hokage takes a long road, you better prepare yourself. 'Cause there ain't any shortcuts to becoming Hokage. Grinning, he finished with, If you wanna be Hokage, you're gonna have to beat me to it. Konohamaru was silent, then he said, Okay then, from now on, we're rivals. Walking off and giving Konohamaru a thumbs up, Naruto said, I'll look forward to fighting you later on. Naruto jumped through the trees, landing on a building near the abandoned Uchiha sector. It was nearly evening, and he still hadn't found his clan home. Sighing, he thought that he'd look for it later, when a glint of light caught his eye. Moving toward it, he saw a magnificent temple-like structure was before him, with a stone wall going around it. Deep down, he felt a sense of familiarity, of belonging. I found it, he said, grinning. Looking over it, he found a handprint in the stone. Sighing, he cut his hand, and put it in the handprint. A moment later, there was the sound of gears and stone grinding, and the stone split in two and swung inwards. Naruto entered, and was amazed by what he found. To his right was a blooming sakura tree, with a pond on its right side and going to the back. To his left, 4 statues of Kitsune. In front of him stood his clan complex, divided into 3 buildings. The main building was the largest and in the center, and the adjoining buildings were slanting right and left. Grinning, he inspected the entrance in the barrier. Another handprint was there, but this one just required his touch to close. And now that he unsealed it, he could get back in without giving up blood. With that, he left his newfound home, and went back to his old one. Using storage scrolls, he packed everything he had, which wasn't much. The last thing he did was tying the Tenryujin scroll to his back. He stood in the doorway, and inhaled the smell of his apartment one last time. Goodbye, old place, he said, before closing the door. Unknown to Naruto, he was watched by Sandaime, through his mystical crystal ball. Ah, Minato, he sighed, puffing smoke from his pipe. You and Kushina would both be proud of your boy. With that, he exited his office to retire for the night. Naruto quickly got situated in his new home. He found his bedroom, and set it up, leaving the Tenryujin scroll on his bed. He then looked out on his yard. Those foxes, they reminded him of the Kyuubi. Narrowing his eyes, he set out on his mission, not knowing what he was doing would change his life forever. Hours later found him marking one of the stone foxes with seals, using his blood as markers. He had spent the last couple of hours trying to understand the 3 Fuin jutsu his father used, Shiki Fujin, Hak no Fuin Shiki, and Shirsho Fujin. Now, he said, worst thing that can happen is that I go out with a bang with that. He started going through seals. What in the 7 hells do you think you are doing? Naruto jumped at the voice that came out of nowhere. Who's there? He yelled, looking around. I'm inside your head, flesh rat, growled the voice. You know me as the almighty Kyuubi no Kitsune. Naruto began to tremble with rage. You're the reason I have no family, and why everyone hates me. Kyuubi chuckled. And you assume I care? I'm far too powerful to care about petty human squabbles. Naruto growled. Yeah, well, I'll show you. Continuing his seals, he grinned evilly. I'm gonna put you in this statue marked by holy seals, and you'll be in there forever. Kyuubi laughed. Little fool, if you release the seal, I'll be free and you will die. Went Naruto. And he did the one thing that decided his future. He messed up a seal. Immediately, the seals on the stone fox began to glow, and Naruto felt a searing pain in his stomach. Crouching and crying out, he faintly heard horrible laughter, then no. Then the stone fox exploded, and he was thrown backwards, and blissful blackness overtook him. Naruto's mindscape. When Naruto opened his eyes, he saw pipes above him. Did I die? He asked aloud. He looked around, and he saw a steel door knocked off its hinges. Creeping over to it, he peeped in. He could see a large brass cage with a futa that had the kanji for seal, but the cage was misshapen, and he could see a lake of red beyond it. No Kyuubi though. Suddenly, he felt a bit woozy. Sitting down, he muttered, not again, before falling backwards and passing out. When he came to, the sun was shining. Sitting up, he groaned as he rubbed his head. He then noticed that things came into sharper focus, and he could smell the sakura tree. Looking at the stone fox, he saw that it had been blown to pieces. Standing shakily, he went inside, and made his way to his room. His scroll was still open, but something else had appeared. Rubbing his eyes and looking down, he shouted, "Yada!" He had gained the second tomo, Konetsu. Now he had instructions for the third tomo. Tomo 3 Kanmei, Confusion. Allows the user to disorient anyone hit. To send a burst of this power, from the eyes, the user has to say Ranzatsu Kame is obtained when the user has sharpened their mind, usually by knowledge acquired from Kage Bunshin. When in use, the user's eyes glow white with 3 black triangles. Naruto grinned. It's a good thing that I learned Kage Bunshin, then he trailed off looking at his clock. Kyuso! He cursed, I'm gonna be late. He looked down, he couldn't go as is, his orange jumpsuit was shredded. Frantically, he went through his stuff, then opened his closet. What he saw inside made him grin foxily. Haruno Sakura and Yamanaka Ino, 2 rival kunoichi for a certain heir's affections, reached the classroom at the same time. "Cha! Take that, Ino pig!" said Sakura panting. "No, I won!" retorted Ino. Glaring, both of them made their way toward their object of affection. Uchiha Sasuke, the object of affection and sympathy for the whole village, brooded while ignoring the looks his fangirls sent him. He was the sole survivor of the Uchiha clan, which had been massacred by one of their own when he was little. Since then, he had been seen as the dark and mysterious type. Right now, he just wanted this done and over with. The door flew open, and in walked Naruto. Everyone there was surprised to see him, but that's not what rendered them speechless. Naruto came in wearing a navy blue jumpsuit, with the coat open revealing an ash-gray netted shirt, with a strange pattern on the stomach, a red spiral surrounded by 5 triangles. On the shoulders of the jacket were ash-gray patches with the kanji for wind in black. At that it seemed he had grown an inch overnight, and he gained a light set of muscles, and you had a whole lot of potential. But what stood out the most was the scroll that he tied to his back, the Tenmujin scroll. The first to recover was on Hiruzen Hinata, who had harbored a deep affection, love, for Naruto. She blushed deeply, her eyes rolled up, and she fainted. Naruto was snickering at the gaping new genin, and then he noticed an enticing smell. Where's that coming from? He thought to himself, then was brought out of his thoughts by someone asking. What the hell are you doing here, Naruto? This is for graduates only. Pointing at his Hittite, he grinned and said, Need I say more? With that, he made his way up to a seat, but that smell came back. Smells like honey, he thought, and decided to follow his nose. Eventually, he came to Hinata. Hinata-chan? He said, poking her gently. You okay? Hinata's eyes fluttered and she opened to see Naruto mere inches from her face. She reddened and tried her best not to faint. Hi, and Naruto-kun. Naruto nodded and sat one seat down, next to Sasuke. He then smelled dog, and rolled his eyes. What, Kiba? Inuzuka Kiba glared down at Naruto, while his pet and partner Akamaru whimpered and tried to get his master to avoid Naruto. What's with the new look, dope? And that giant scroll? Sasuke wanted to know that as well, but he was too proud to ask. Naruto grinned. The winds of change blew last night, and the scroll is my clan scroll. That caused a number of people to think. A clan? But Naruto was an orphan. Their thoughts were interrupted by Irika, who came in. Well, now that everyone's here, we can get started. Pulling out a clipboard, he faced the students. Starting today, you are all genin. But the hard part has just started. You'll be assigned to 3-man teams, and each team will have one jounin sensei. The teams are balanced like so, the best in class, the worst in class, and one to balance them out. When you're assigned certain duties to the village, you'll follow your jounin sensei's instructions. PFT, thought Sasuke. 3-man teams, more people to get in my way. I think I'd rather be with Sakura-chan, thought Naruto, his arm supporting his scroll, than anyone else except for Sasuke and Kiba. Team 7 Uzumaki Naruto, Haruno Sakura. In that order, Yada. Damn. And Uchiha Sasuke. Damn Yada. Naruto didn't bother raising a stink about Sasuke, so he just decided to bear it. Teammate Inuzuka Kiba, Hyuga Hinata, and Aburame Shino. Naruto felt somewhat sorry for Hinata, so he turned and gave her a thumbs up, to help her confidence. She blushed and looked in her lap. There's that smell again, he thought. Why is there a honey smell coming from Hinata? We all know the rest of the teams. Naruto looked out the door for the 10th time. Where is that guy? He said aloud. Naruto, stay still. He'll get here when he gets here, said Sakura. She had been feeling funny for the past hour. She felt somewhat heated. She blamed it on the summer heat. Well, since he's late, said Naruto, placing an eraser on the door frame. Naruto. What? He shrugged at Sakura. If he's a jounin, then he should be able to avoid it. Right after he said that, the door opened, and the eraser fell on the head of a silver-haired mask-wearing jounin with his hitate going over his left eye. Speak of the devil, said Naruto, squinting. He smells like dog, too. This guy is supposed to teach us, thought Sasuke. Said the jounin, rubbing his masked chin. My first impression is you're a bunch of idiots. Afterwards, all four met on the roof. Okay, said the jounin, let's do some introductions. You know, likes, dislikes those things. You first, said Naruto, holding his scroll in one arm. We don't know anything about you. Oh, me? I'm Hatake Kakashi. I have no desire to tell you guys my likes and dislikes. I have lots of hobbies. Dreams for the future? All we learned, began Naruto. Was his name. Finished Sakura. All right, said Kakashi, pointing at Naruto. You first, scroll boy. Squinting his eyes and grinning, Naruto started. My name is Uzumaki Naruto. I like instant ramen and training. I dislike the 3 minutes it takes for ramen to cook, and bigoted bastards. Also emos, can't forget those whiny little bastards. Dreams for the future: rebuild my clan and become Hokage. My hobbies are training, pranks, and gardening. Kakashi nodded, while inwardly thinking, I didn't know he had a clan, you next duck ass. Sasuke glared at Kakashi and said, Uchiha Sasuke. I don't have a lot of likes, and I have plenty of dislikes. I don't use the word dream, but I have an ambition, to resurrect my clan and kill a certain man. An Avenger? Why am I not surprised? Thought Kakashi. You're up, Pinky. I'm Haruno Sakura. I like. She looked over at Sasuke and giggled. I dislike. She was tempted to say Naruto, but the heat returned, and her voice caught. So, instead she said Ino Pig. Dreams for the future? She looked off into space and giggled. My hobby. Enough, said Kakashi, holding up a hand. Okay, we'll start our duties tomorrow. Sweet, said Naruto. What kind? First, the 4 of us are gonna do survival training. But this isn't regular training. It'll be you 3 against me. Here he chuckled. But what? Asked Sakura. This test has a failure rate of 66. Anyone who fails gets sent back to the academy, said Kakashi, his visible eye in an upside U, indicating a smile. The 3 genin were gobsmacked, and Naruto was the first to recover. So, what was the point of graduating? That was a genin selection process, seeing who are the most desirable candidates for the rank of genin. Anyway, you'll be graded on the field. By the way, don't eat tomorrow morning, you'll throw up. Handing them papers, he said, the details are on the paper. Don't be late. With that, he poofed away. Naruto stood up and tied the scroll to his back. Well, see you 2 later, he said before jumping down. Sakura was about to call him, but she restrained herself at the last moment. She then turned to Sasuke, but he was already going in the door. Later that night, Naruto sat in his room, going over what had happened the previous night. From what I figure, when the transfer ceiling backfired, it sent the QB somewhere, but left me with his chakra and I've gained some enhanced senses. The only ones who could help me are Kiba's folks, but I don't think they like me much. Deciding not to brood on it, he went to bed. The last thought he had was, you would have thought that any other shinobi would have felt that chakra pulse. The following morning, he got the training grounds at the same time as Sakura and Sasuke. They ended up waiting 2 hours before Kakashi showed. You're late, Naruto and Sakura yelled. Ignoring them, Kakashi set a clock down on a wooden stump and said, this is set for noon. Here are 2 bells. Your task is to get them away from me. And only the winners get to eat lunch. Naruto, Sakura, and Sasuke all had the same thought. Lousy bastard, that's why he told us not to eat. Since there are 2 bells, that means one of you will definitely be tied to the stump. And that one will be sent back to the academy. The only you'll defeat me is if you come with the intent to kill. At the glares he was getting, Kakashi chuckled. You know, I'm beginning to like you guys. Then he got serious. Alright, start. And just like that, the 3 genin were gone. Good, thought Kakashi. They've all hidden themselves. Well, he then saw Naruto still standing in front of him. Never mind. What is he doing? Thought Sakura, from her spot in the underbrush. Sasuke had the same thought from his vantage point in the trees. Fight me! said Naruto. Kakashi reached into his pouch and pulled an orange book with Come Paradise on the cover. Naruto blanched. Why do you have a book? Because I want to find out what happens next. But it won't matter in the long run. Naruto growled and rushed Kakashi, who dodged while reading. Lesson 1 Taijutsu, he mused. When Naruto delivered a roundhouse kick, Kakashi got behind and crouched with his hands in the tiger seal. Rule number 1. A shinobi is never caught from behind with that, he thrust forward. Senin Goroshi. Naruto rocketed into the air, screaming and holding his ass. That wasn't ninjutsu, thought an annoyed Sakura. That was just a super ass poke. Two morons, thought Sasuke. He was as surprised as the rest when Naruto disappeared in a puff of smoke. What was that jutsu? Thought Kakashi. Kage-bunshin. He must have done it when they separated. Looks like he's not a total idiot after all. Elsewhere, Naruto watched as his clone disappeared, and sighed in relief. To think that could have been me involuntarily, he shuddered. Why do I feel violated and scarred for life, all of a sudden? In the meantime, Sasuke caught Kakashi off guard and threw a combination of kunai and shuriken. Kakashi took them in the side, and then disappeared in the puff of smoke. When the smoke cleared, there was a log in his place. Damn, swore Sasuke, as he leapt backwards through the trees. Kawarimi no jutsu, now he knows where I am. Bastard used a trap, and I fell for it. He was unaware of an eye peeping through a gap in the bushes. Has silly little genin now to screw with them. In the meantime, Sakura had been making as little noise as possible as she leapt through the bushes. Sasuke-kun, Naruto-kun, where are you? Could sensei already have? No, not Sasuke-kun, he wouldn't let that happen, neither would Naruto-kun. She was thrown out of her thoughts by the sight of Kakashi through a gap of trees. Phew, he didn't notice me, she thought. Sakura. Sakura spun around to see Kakashi inches away look her in the eye, and then disappear in a swirl of leaves. The leaves spun and she felt herself grow sleepy. She shook her head, saying, What was that? Where's sensei? Sakura. That was a different voice, a voice she was waiting to hear. Sasuke-kun, she said in glee, turning around. Sasuke was covered in kunai and shuriken, and bleeding heavily from a severed arm. Help me, he gasped. Sakura went pale, and shivered, and then another voice came out. Sasakura-chan. Shakily, she turned to see Naruto with swords jutting out from his back, kunai in his arms, and a bloody wound over his left eye. Falling to his knees, he gasped out, Sakura-chan, help me, before spitting up blood. That was all Sakura could take, so she screamed as hard as she could, and fainted. Said Kakashi, crouching on a tree branch while reading his little orange book. I think I overdid it. Lesson number 2, Genjutsu. Sasuke looked up at hearing the scream. That screamed Sakura. Naruto was on the same tree Kakashi was on, and when he heard the scream, he winced and leapt off the tree as quietly as he could, making his way towards Sakura through the underbrush. Unfortunately, Kakashi saw him, but surprisingly, he ignored him. He's going for his teammate instead of the bell. Maybe this team isn't hopeless after all. Out loud he said, Genjutsu illusionary techniques. Sakura fell for it easily. I'm not like those other two, said Sasuke, his back to Kakashi. Say that after you got the bells, Sasuke-chan. Meanwhile, Naruto had gotten to Sakura and shaken her awake. Sakura-chan, wake up, the time's almost up. Sakura opened her eyes to see Naruto's sky blue ones, and she felt her heart skip a beat. No. I like Sasuke-kun, not Naruto-kun, she said in her head while sitting up. Naruto, what are you doing here? Naruto rubbed his head and grinned. I figured that together, the two of us might stand a better chance of getting the bells. But sensei said Sakura was cut off by an explosion, and she and Naruto turned their head to see a cloud of smoke. What was that? Not sure, said Naruto. Let's go check it out. Lesson number 3, Ninjutsu, said Kakashi, crouching down to look Sasuke in the eye. Doton, Shinjuzanshu, looks like you managed to get ahead of the others. He chuckled at his poorly made pun, and walked away, letting the angered Sasuke hear another bad pun. You know what they say, an exposed nail must be hammered in, hehehe. Immediately after, Naruto and Sakura appeared, with Sakura screaming at the sight of Sasuke's head above the ground, and passing out again. Naruto caught her, while Sasuke pulled himself out of the ground. When Sakura came to again, Sasuke turned on his heel and started to walk. Where do you think you're going, emo boy? Sasuke ignored Naruto's insult and said, There's not much time, I'm going to get a bell. Sasuke-kun, you're still going after the bells? I already touched them, Next time I'll get them, he said, earning a what? From both Naruto and Sakura. Well, began Naruto, wouldn't it work out to having all three of us trying to beat Kakashi-sensei's ass into the dirt? PFT, said Sasuke, his back to them, I don't need anyone's help. I almost got them by myself, and I'll get them for sure this time. But Sasuke-kun, said Sakura, stepping toward him, there's not much time left, like you said, so we might stand a better chance next time. At this, Sasuke glared at the two of them. After a moment of silence, he spoke at last. There's a man I have to kill. I am an avenger. I have to become stronger than that man, so I can't just stand around here. I have to get my own power my own way. Right after he said that, the bell went off. 10 minutes later found Naruto tied to a log, with Sasuke and Sakura sitting next to him, and 2 bento lunches in front of them. Why the hell am I tied to the log? Snapped Naruto at the grinning Kakashi. I dunno, some higher power, I guess. Anyways, you'll be glad to know that both you and Sakura get to go back to the academy. What? Exclaimed Sakura. How is that good news? Sasuke said nothing, but gave off a small bow. Yeah, said Naruto. While we go back to the academy, what about Sasuke team? Kakashi gave off an eye smile as he said, Sasuke should quit as a shinobi entirely. What? Kakashi narrowed his visible eye at the three. Even though it seems like I'm singling him out, it's the truth. Uchiha Sasuke is a selfish bastard who doesn't deserve to be a shinobi. Sasuke growled and ran at Kakashi, who twisted his arm and sat on him. See? That's what I'm talking about. Looking at Naruto and Sakura, he continued. Why do you think you were divided into teams of 3 and forced to do this exercise? You were on the way to answering this question before, when you met up again after the 3 lessons. In another rare moment of insight, Naruto picked up the answer. Teamwork? Kakashi nodded. Yep, teamwork. But how? Asked Sakura. There are only 2 bells. Even if we did team up, then one of us would still fail. In yet another rare moment of insight, Naruto picked up another answer. That was just to make us fight each other. Both Kakashi and Sakura stared at him. Who are you and what have you done with the real Uzumaki Naruto? Asked Sakura. Untie me, damn it! Naruto yelled. Kakashi chuckled. Still the same kid anyway. The purpose of the bells was to see if you would forget about yourselves and work together for the sake of the group. Closing his eye, he delivered his observations. Sakura, you were out looking for Sasuke, instead of Naruto, who was closer. Naruto, you tried to do the work by yourself. Even so, the 2 of you managed to at least try to team up and work together. Pulling Sasuke's arm, he said, but you, Mr. Avenger, saw the others as obstacles and tried to do everything by yourself, with the thought of asking for help. Looking back at the genin in front of him, he said, the duties are done by the team. Of course, individual skills are valuable to a shinobi, but so is the value of teamwork. Individuals going off half-cocked can get you and your comrades in a dangerous situation. For example, Kakashi whipped out a kunai and put it to Sasuke's neck. Sakura, kill Naruto. Or Sasuke dies. At their alarmed looks, he put the kunai away and stood up, allowing Sasuke to stand. However, a Kakashi clone appeared behind him, and tied him to the post while freeing Naruto. After the Kakashi clone disappeared, the real Kakashi said, if a hostage is taken, you'll have to make difficult choices. You'll be risking your lives on your duties to this village. Walking over to a certain stone, Kakashi gazed at it impassively. See this stone? The names on this stone are people recognized by this village as heroes. But they're not regular heroes, they died doing their duty. Even my best friend's name is here, on this memorial stone. Facing them, Kakashi narrowed his visible eye. You guys get one more chance. After lunch, you can try and get the bells, but it'll be tougher this time around. Also, if you want to challenge me, you'd better eat, but don't give any to Sasuke. He's gotta learn to share before he gets himself into serious trouble. Here, I am the law, got it? With that, he vanished. Right after that, Naruto handed his food over to the tied Sasuke. Want some food? While Sasuke glared, Sakura nearly choked. Naruto-kun, Sensei said. Sensei said work for the good of the team, and if the 3 of us are gonna stand any chance against him, we all need to be at full strength. Sakura nodded her head slowly, then offered her own food to Sasuke. Suddenly, an explosion went off in front of them. Through the wind and smoke, the 3 genin heard Kakashi yell, "What the fuck did I just say?" His voice sounded like the one of an angry god, and he looked the part as well. Just for that, you all. Suddenly, he appeared before them, his visible eye smiling. Pass. At this, there were two simultaneous HUH. You guys are the first team I ever passed. Everyone else just did what I told them, like mindless drones. A shinobi must see underneath those who disregard the rules are trash, but those who abandon their comrades are lower than trash. With that, he gave them a thumbs up. That ends today's training. Starting tomorrow, Team 7 starts its missions. Moments later, Kakashi reappeared in the Hokage's office, and he found Yuhi Kurenai, newly promoted jounin and renowned genjutsu mistress, Sarutobi Asuma, son of Sandaime Hokage and notoriously known for his perpetual cigarettes and wind affinity, and Yumino Irika, Chunin teacher, and well, we already know Irika-sensei. Yohi Kurenai, jounin-sensei of Inuzuka Kiba, Hyuga Hinata, and Aburame Shino reporting that Team 8 passes. Sarutobi Asuma, jounin-sensei Naresh Shikamaru, Yamanaka Ino, and Akamichi Chuji reporting that Team 10 passes. Hataki Kakashi, jounin-sensei of Uzumaki Naruto, Haruno Sakura, and Uchiha Sasuke, reporting that Team 7 passes. This caught everyone by surprise, because Kakashi was known to have never passed a team during his time as a jounin-sensei. Why the change of heart, Kakashi? Asked Asuma. Kakashi inhaled and let out his breath. This team is a unique one. Sakura's a fangirl still, but she looks like she's slowly coming out of that. Sasuke's an Avenger, that much is certain, so I hazard that group dynamics are going to be a bit strained. Naruto. How's Naruto? Asked Irika. He's a strange one. He's got a good handle on Kage Bunshin, and he figured out the answer to the bell test without realizing it. He seems to dislike Sasuke a lot, but he seems to be the main anchor of the group. Sandaime nodded. He always was the most unpredictable shinobi. Kakashi nodded and offhandedly added, and he wants to rebuild his clan like Sasuke. When Naruto walked past the training grounds, he was unaware that he was followed. But when he got near Ichiraku Ramen, he suddenly spun around and said, "Come on out. I know you're there." From behind a lamppost appeared Hyuga Hinata, her cheeks stained red. From being caught or something else, he didn't know. "Oh hail, Hinata-chan." She waved shyly, stuttering "Oh hail" and Naruto-kun. Naruto scratched his head and thought to himself, why does she act like this around me? And why in the hell does she smell like honey again? Nah, Hinata-chan, what's the matter? Do you need some help? Hinata shook her head and cursed herself for her weakness. She had been thinking about him earlier, but her thoughts had escalated from their usual PG goodness to pretty much X-rated raunchiness. Breathing deeply, she stepped closer and asked, "How did you do on your team?" Grinning broadly, Naruto chuckled and said, "Our sensei passed us, and he said we're the first team he ever passed. He said it was because of teamwork and because we were the best out of the teams he went through." Hinata nodded and stepped closer still. She was about to ask what his team was like when she felt her heart begin to race, and she felt hot. So she did what the situation demanded. She fainted. Naruto cursed and caught her before she hit the ground. Hoisting her onto his back, he looked around and figured that since they were close to his house, he'd take her there and wait for her to wake up, and then take her home. How wrong he was. When Hinata woke up, she was lying on her back with her head on a big scroll. Sitting up, she saw that she was in someone's yard, but then she heard grunting and the sound of blows landing. Leaping to her feet, she activated her Byakugan and saw Naruto fighting a clone to her right. She sighed in relief and shut it off. She then took in that they were in a moderately well-clan yard. Not as big as her clans, but big enough to be comfortable. "Ora, Hinata-chan!" came Naruto's voice, and she turned to him, her breath catching in her throat. He had taken off his coat and shirt, and was standing in front of her bare-chested and sweating. He grinned foxily and said, "Glad to see you're up. Are you feeling okay?" "No, I'm not," she wanted to answer, but she didn't. She had been feeling heated since the beginning of the day, and she had been mainly thinking her Naruto-kun. Wait, where did that her come from? She shook her head, trying to clear her mind, but it didn't work. Naruto saw this, and stepped closer, putting a comforting hand on her shoulder. "Do you need to go to the hospital?" he asked innocently. Hinata felt his hand on her shoulder, and she lost it. Her body was screaming at her to give in and follow her instincts, and she did. When Naruto put his hand on her shoulder, Hinata tackled him to the ground and crushed her lips to his. Naruto, for the most part, was caught by surprise. But he smelled more honey than before, and felt Hinata grind her groin to his. To his horror, he felt himself react. "No, I can't do this to Hinata-chan," he thought frantically, and he was about to voice it. Hinata lifted her upper body up and gazed at him through lidded eyes. "No, Naruto-kun," she said, placing a finger on her lips, while shrugging off her jacket. "I've wanted this for a while, and I offer myself to you." Naruto was thunderstruck at this, and thought to himself, Hinata-chan likes me? Like I like Sakura-chan? He was about to ask, when Hinata leaned back onto her haunches and reached for the waist of his pants. Naruto blinked, slowly regaining his bearings from the last few moments. He could register Hinata playing with his hair, but he still couldn't figure out how he ended up in this situation. Flashback. Warning! Below is a lemony recollection of the events at the end of the last chapter. If you find becoming one with your lover offensive, then you need to get laid big time. Also, I'd rather not get flagged and banned, so this is a disclaimer to proceed of your own volition. Hinata had reached for the waist of Naruto's pants before he was able to stop her. Hinata herself didn't know why she was doing this, she just knew that she wanted Naruto, and she wanted him now. On that note, she divested herself of her remaining clothing and tore off his pants. "Hi Hinata-chan!" yelped Naruto, who found himself at the mercy of this hungry kunoichi. Well, at least he now knew why she wore that coat of hers. Were this anyone else, they would have considered themselves the luckiest guy on the planet. Hinata reddened slightly as she saw Naruto now openly staring at her magnificent form, and who could blame him? She was 13, and she had the body of a 16-year-old. But that was beside the point. The point was that she would only do this for him, and him alone. With that thought in mind, she felt at peace, and she felt that she was ready. She crawled onto Naruto, and taking in a deep breath, took his manhood deep within her maidenhood. Naruto felt as if he had left this world and gone to heaven. This feeling was indescribable, but he was sure that he heard Hinata yelp when he hit a certain barrier within her. Through lidded eyes he gazed at her, his sky blue ones gazing into her pale lavender ones. "Hi Hinata," he gasped out, before she leaned forward and kissed him. "Don't speak," she breathed, and leaned back, letting his hardness pierce through her and making her, Hyuga Hinata, his mate for life. She gasped out in pain, pain that soon evaporated into pleasure, and she began to move back and forth. Each movement caused her to mew out in delight, and she began to dominate him through their lovemaking. This was a new sensation for Naruto, this connection, the pure focus on his other's physical being. It was amazing how much he focused on her gripping him inside of her, how he was now intent on making cry out his name as he ravaged her again and again. He slowly, but surely began to increase his speed in and out. Faster and faster until he felt his lower muscles burn and his breath come out in loud pants. He could see the look of utter bliss upon her face as she closed her eyes and said something over and over again. His mind wasn't working right, his every thought faded and confused, he couldn't remember who he was, or where he was. "No, I'm one and at peace," he moaned, and he could hear his Hinata-chan moaning his name, no, screaming his name, screaming for him to go faster, to push harder, and he felt himself obey her commands like the loyal slave he found himself becoming. Hinata felt a searing warmth in her belly, and felt the thing inside her most sacred of places twitching. But her primal instincts had taken over, and she screamed his name as she felt the first surges of his warmth fill her reservoir. Naruto felt her clench around him, and he lost himself to this new sensation. He was unaware that his hair spiked, his whisker marks grew more pronounced, and his canines grew. His eyes opened, darkened from their sky blue to a night's purple with slitted pupils, and he yelled out, "Hinata-chan!" With that, he thrust his hips forward one final time, filling his newfound mate with his seed. The tidal wave of emotions passed them. Hinata fell forward, gasping and panting, and her lavender eyes met Naruto's blue ones. They kissed deeply, and she pressed her body to him. She was his, and he was hers. Naruto let out a purr, and she giggled. With that, she rose slightly and they became one once more. End flashback, end of lemon. Naruto snickered. He and Hinata had made love 3 more times after that. "Take that, Sasuke team," he muttered. "What was that, Naruto-kun?" asked Hinata, looking down on him. "Nothing," said Naruto, as Hinata stroked his hair. "It's just that Sasuke team said that he wanted to rebuild his clan, or something like that, and I got a lot closer today than he did in the past 2 years. Hinata giggled, and Naruto found himself mesmerized by her jiggling. "She just grows fast, is all," he thought, and stood up, taking Hinata's hand in his. "I want to show you something," he said. Hinata stood and followed him, the two of them unconcerned about their nudity like the previously pure Adam and Eve. Once inside, he showed her the legacy he inherited. "My family was called the Tenryujin, and they were said to be even stronger than the Uchiha and Hyuga clans. No offense, Hinata-chan. None taken." Naruto grinned and pointed at the family tree tapestry on the wall. "Here I am at the bottom. My Otosama was Yondaime." Hinata's eyes widened. "Why, Yondaime-sama was your father?" Naruto grinned sadly. "It gets better. I was born the day he died after he sealed the Kyuubi away. Hinata gazed at him for a moment, and then she hugged him. It doesn't matter that you have the QB sealed in you, you are my Naruto-kun, and nothing can change that. Naruto hugged her back, and then he stiffened. Wait a minute, you know. Hinata nodded. It wasn't too hard to figure out the whispers, the cold eyes, and the way you're treated on October 10th, your birthday, of all days. Naruto then grinned shyly. About the QB. At Hinata's questioning look, he laughed hesitantly. Well, I found out from Mizuki team, and after I came here I sorta tried to seal him into one of the stone foxes. At Hinata's alarmed look, he calmed her down. No, he's not gonna hurt anyone. I sorta screwed up on the ceiling and threw his spirit out of my body. But I kept all his chakra. Grinning, he said with a final, you're safe, we're all safe, and he can't do anything about it. Hinata breathed out a sigh of relief. That's good to know. Naruto grinned. Also, I have a Digitsu because of my clan. Tilting her head, Hinata asked him to show her. When he showed her the first and second tomo, she clapped her hands in glee. Nah, Naruto-kun, what do they do? Tomo 1, called Kongchi, has 2 levels. Level 1 lets me see things better, copy things, and see faraway things, and Level 2 lets me see through things and into anybody. Hinata nodded. Tomo 1 sounds like my Byakugan, and Sasuke-san's Sharingan. Naruto nodded and said, I have 5 tomo to my eyes, and I've unlocked 2 tomo already, and I'm trying to unlock the 3rd tomo right now. There are conditions I have to meet for the tomo, and this one involves Kagebunshin. Hinata laughed a little and hugged him from the side. You know, she began, slanting her eyes, I've heard that that's a jutsu that not even some jounin know. Naruto laughed, and rubbed his head shyly. Nah, I guess I just have too much chakra. Nuzzling his cheek, she continued. Nah, if the council found out, they'd force you into multiple marriages. Naruto stiffened. And Nanny? Hinata clenched his hand in hers as she got to her point. I'm willing to share as long as I like her, and you show me. This was an information overload. If the council found out about his Kekai Genkai, they'd turn him into a womanizer made only for breeding. Hinata-chan was possessive, but if she liked the girl he brought her, then she wouldn't do anything. Naruto felt a bit dizzy, and he swayed uneasily. Now he started, then a glint on the wall caught his eye. Looking over, he saw his alarm clock at 4:55. Nah, Hinata-chan, I think you should go home, your family might miss you. Hinata stuck out her tongue. Mao, I know. But I will see you soon, any? Naruto nodded and gave her a thumbs up. If anything comes up with my team, you'll be the first to know, Hinata-chan. Hinata walked up to him and kissed him, whispering against his lips, sayonara, Naruto-kun. Then she walked out, swaying her naked hips as she went to get her clothes, grinning as she knew he had his eyes on her. Naruto blushed as Hinata left. He was sure that she did that on purpose. An indeterminate time later. This is Scarecrow. What is the distance to the target? Asked Kakashi into his microphone. This is Fox, the target is 5 meters and closing, I'm ready to move anytime, came Naruto's voice. This is Darkfire, I'm ready to move, came Sasuke's voice. Cherry Blossom here, I'm ready too, came Sakura's voice. Okay, go, said Kakashi. In the forest, the 3 genin leapt into action as their mission objective came into view. Naruto leapt into action and grabbed the target, a brown cat. Ribbon on the left ear, is it Tora? Said Kakashi in Sasuke's ear. Yeah, he answered, as Naruto lifted Tora onto his shoulder and cradled him there. Alright, mission complete, return to base, came Kakashi's voice. Tora found himself being hugged to death by his owner, the fire daimyo's wife. Nya, help me, he thought in vain. Poor cat, thought Sakura, doing her best to avoid looking at Naruto. After the woman paid and left, Sandaime looked at his pad and said, Alright, Team 7, your next missions are babysitting an elder's grandchildren, shopping in the neighboring village, and helping with the potato digging. Tora! And getting the fire lady's cat, he added, hearing the woman scream. No. Irika, Sandaime, Sakura, Sasuke, and Kakashi glanced at Naruto. What? Naruto crossed his arms and squinted his eyes. No more D-rank missions. We can do much better than these crappy-ass D-ranks. The members of Team 7 had their own thoughts on this. He's got a point, thought Sasuke. That is true, but that still doesn't make Naruto-kun any less annoying, thought Sakura. I'm surprised he didn't bring this up last time, thought Kakashi. Baka, you're still just a rookie, yelled Irika, standing up. Everyone starts off with the little missions and work their way up. We've done 25 D-rank mission, said Naruto, glaring through one eye. I'm pretty sure that's enough for 2 C-ranks. I mean, you had to have chased that cat a couple of times too. Thinking back, Iruka and Sandaime paled at that statement. Animals aside, they had to do the exact same thing. Sandaime casually shoved the D-rank mission scroll he had into a bin, and lifted up a different one. Oh look, a C-rank mission for you, he said nonchalantly. This one calls for a certain individual's protection. Cool, said Naruto, his teammates and sensei stunned. Who is it? A princess? A daimyo? As if on cue, the door opened, and in came an elderly man with a bottle of sake. A somewhat empty bottle of sake. What the? They're just a bunch of kids, he said, taking a swig from his bottle. While Naruto covered his nose, he continued on. They look like they're gonna wet themselves, especially the idiotic blonde. Kakashi grabbed Naruto as said blonde brandished several kunai, and swore to kill the man. Naruto, it defeats the purpose if you kill the client. The elder ignored Naruto and said, I'm the super special awesome expert bridge builder Tazuna, and I expect you to provide me with ultra special protection until I get back to my home country and complete the bridge. Naruto exited his compound with just his scroll on his back. He walked down to the village gates, when he saw a familiar head of hair. Ora, Hinata-chan! He yelled, waving. Hinata was with her team when she heard Naruto's voice. She turned around and smiled at the sight of her mate. She went to him and hugged him, and he hugged her back, saying, Me and the team have a C-rank mission, we gotta escort this old drunk to his home country. Hinata furrowed her brow and asked, How long will it be? A couple of weeks, at most, said Naruto, grinning. Kiba, who had been listening, gave a feral grin. When Hinata had left the training grounds, he could smell that she was in heat. He was going to offer to escort her home when she scurried off when they were dismissed. When she appeared the next morning to report, he could smell that she was still in heat, but he could smell an unknown scent on her. Now he knew it was Naruto, and the way he and Hinata acted, they had just been around each other. Now I've got about 2 weeks to make Hinata my mate, he thought. In the meantime, Naruto had given Hinata another hug and wished her well. He then waved goodbye and left. Moments later, he and his team, along with Tazuna, were outside the village gates. Yada! Shouted Naruto. Let's go! Where's your bag, dumbass? Asked Sasuke, and Naruto reached into his pouch and pulled out a storage scroll. Who needs a bag when you have these? Are you sure I'm safe with you guys? Said a more sober Tazuna to Kakashi, who said, Don't worry, I'm a jounin. Don't disrespect us, yelled Naruto, pointing at Tazuna as they started walking. Especially me. One day, I'll become Hokage. Remember this name, Uzumaki Naruto. You become Hokage? Said Tazuna, taking another swig from his bottle. That'll be the day. Silence. I'll do whatever it takes to be Hokage, and then you'll acknowledge me. No, I won't. Later found the 5 walking down a dirt road. Sakura asked Tazuna if they had shinobi in Nami no Kuni, Wave Country, Tazuna's country of origin. No, Sakura, said Kakashi. But other countries do, the customs are a bit different, thought. There are the 5 main countries, Hai no Kuni, Fire Country, our native country, then there's Mizu no Kuni, Water Country, Rai no Kuni, Lightning Country, Kaze no Kuni, Wind Country, and Shichi no Kuni, Earth Country. They hold much of the power on our continent, and each have their own respective villages. The main villages are Konoha in Hai no Kuni, Suna, Sand, in Kaze no Kuni, Kiri, Mist, in Mizu no Kuni, Kumo, Cloud, in Rai no Kuni, and Iwa, Stone, in Shichi no Kuni. And respectively are the 5 strongest shinobi in each Hokage, Kazekage, Reikage, Mizukage, and Tsuchikage. But don't worry, said Kakashi, patting himself on the back. Since we're doing a C-rank mission, it's unlikely we'll run into foreign shinobi. Maybe a couple of bandits, but that's it. The genin nodded and the 5 kept walking, past a puddle of water. Naruto rubbed his head, thinking about how hot it was, when something hit him. This hot, and a puddle was on the ground, and it hadn't rained for a while. Sasuke noticed that Naruto had stopped and smirked. Lose your nerve, dope? Grinning, Naruto said, Nope, just wondering what a puddle's doing here in the middle of a hot summer day. Before anyone could react, the puddle had turned into 2 identical shinobi. Both had oxygen masks, clawed gauntlets that were connected by a spike chain, and Kirigakure, hidden mist, Hitaiate that were horned. Both sprung into action and wrapped the chain around Kakashi and Naruto. 2 little piggies, said the one with the 2 horns on his Hitaiate, and the 2 pulled on the chain, shredding Naruto and Kakashi. Naruto-kun! Kakashi-sensei! Screamed Sakura as the remains of the 2 fell to the ground. And she heard a voice in her ear whisper, 3 little piggies. Sasuke sprung into action. He jumped into the air and threw a shuriken which pinned the chain to a nearby tree. The 2 Kuririn occupied with their chain, he kicked them both in the face. They let the chain loose from their gauntlets, and separated, the double-horned one going after Sasuke, and the single-horned one went at Sakura and Tazuna. Sakura pulled out a kunai and said, "Get behind me," while standing in front of Tazuna. The 2 Kuririn were stopped in their tracks by Kakashi and Naruto. Kakashi clotheslined the single-horned nin, while Naruto kicked the double-horned one in the face. Bah, show off, thought Sasuke, glaring at the grinning Naruto who was still kicking the unconscious Kuririn, while Sakura rejoiced at the sight of her Naruto-kun. Wait, her Naruto-kun? She liked Sasuke. Sakura shook her head and saw the chopped-up logs, and thought, Kawarimi no jutsu. Phew, we're saved, thought Tazuna, but when he saw the look on Naruto's face, he nearly wet himself. I'm screwed. Nice job, Sasuke, said Kakashi, who threw down the nin he had over his shoulder. You've got some explaining to do, old man, said Naruto, walking up to Tazuna. Naruto-kun, gasped Sakura, pointing at his hand. You're bleeding. Naruto looked down at his hand. Sure enough, 2 deep cuts were there, and the skin around them was turning purple. Would you look at that? He said. It must have happened when he did the Kawarimi. You better take care of that, said Kakashi. Their claws were soaked in poison, so he trailed off as Naruto whipped out a kunai and stabbed his hand, letting loose a gout of blood. Naruto winced at the pain, and he said to the panicking Sakura, This is nothing, believe it or not. Taking out the kunai and letting his healing factor kick in, he turned back to Tazuna. Well? Start explaining, old man. Sasuke snorted and looked at the tied-up Kuririn. Who are they? The Onikyudai, the demon brothers' twin Kuririn known for their tenacity in battle. And their chunin, too, said Kakashi, turning to Tazuna. I could have killed them when they showed up, but I needed to find out what they were doing here. Tazuna stiffened. Well? He asked as innocently as he could. They were after you, said Kakashi, narrowing his visible eye. Our mission was just to protect you from bandits. Since they showed up, this has been upgraded to a B-rank mission, at the very least now. I'm sure you had a reason, but it causes problems when the missions are lied about. Technically, we're not even supposed to continue on this mission. Elsewhere, a short fat man with black glasses stood yelling at a figure in the shadows. I can't believe you failed. I paid you guys a lot of money because I heard that you were powerful nuke-nin. The shadowy figure moved, and the fat man found a giant sword pointed at him. Quit your bitch and I'll go myself, and with Kubikiri Hocho I'll kill them all. The fat man was somewhat reassured, but he still felt the need to ask, Are you sure? The shadowy man chuckled. Who the hell do you think I am? There's a reason I'm called the Demon of the Hidden Mist. Kakashi said to Tazuna, I have a confession to make. When Kakashi motioned for him to continue, Tazuna said, You're right, this is most likely out of your duties. It turns out that a very dangerous man has a contract out on me. Who? You've heard of him at least once, Gato, the shipping magnate. This sparked Kakashi's interests. Gato of the Gato Company? He's said to be one of the few people in the world to be extremely rich. Yeah, said Tazuna, closing his eyes. Officially, he runs the company, but that's just a cover. He uses shinobi and his cronies to sell drugs and other illegal items, and to take over businesses and countries. Not a very nice man. About a year ago, Nami no Kuni caught his eye. Using lots of money and violence, he took over the shipping industry. He'd have a complete monopoly on the country's business, if it weren't for the bridge I'm building. Sakura finished his thought. So he figures that if he kills you, the bridge won't be completed, and he'll control Nami no Kuni. Looking back at the demon brothers, Sasuke said, So those two were hired by Gato. Kakashi nodded. That clears up a few things, but why did you lie about the possibility of shinobi after you? Nami no Kuni is in a depressing state right now. We're poor, so poor that even the daimyo has no money. But to that point, we didn't have enough money to pay for B-rank mission. Tazuna decided to play the sympathy card at this point. If you quit the mission, I'd understand. But my grandson would only cry for weeks on end, he said, chuckling. And my daughter would live a sad life hating all Konoha shinobi forever, but it would be your fault. Goodbye, said Naruto, walking down the road. Where are you going, Naruto-ku? Sakura stopped it before it got out, but Kakashi noticed. He decided that he'd get her about it later. To Nami. We accepted the mission, so I'm going to at least see it through. Kakashi nodded. Well, Tazuna, it looks like we keep going. Hours later found the five taking a boat ride down a river. What thick mist, said Sakura. I can barely see. We should be able to see the bridge soon, said the boat rower. Nami no Kuni is at the base of the bridge. As the mist barely lifted, Naruto could see the bridge up close. That's the bridge? It's huge. Moments later, the rower said we'll be to Nami soon. We've avoided detection so far, but it'll be definitely safer to take to vegetation route. It'll be difficult to spot us then. Eventually, they landed on the far shore. After thanking the rower and seeing him off, the five resumed their journey. As they continued down the path, Naruto's newly sharpened ears caught the sound of pattering feet, and he slowed his walking. Naruto? Asked Kakashi. There's an animal in the bushes, something small, like a rat, or a rabbit. Then he caught the sound of a heavy object spinning in the air. Kakashi heard it too. Everyone down! He shouted, and as they dropped to the ground, a freakishly huge sword came out of nowhere and embedded itself in a tree. With a swish, a man appeared on the hilt. He was wearing matching BDU arm warmers and leg warmers, striped baggy pants, bandages over his mouth and neck, and a slanted hidden mist tight. He's looking at us, thought Sakura, and she heard Kakashi chuckle. Well, if it isn't the Kirigakure Nuke Nin Momochi Zabuza. With that, he put his hand up to his slanted hitait. Zabuza spoke at last. It's a pleasure, Sharingan no Kakashi. Sorry, but the old geezer is mine. Sasuke was shocked that Kakashi was referred to Sharingan no Kakashi, but he heard Kakashi say to protect Tazuna. Then he saw what was under the hitait that Kakashi had slanted, a scarred eye that held the Sharingan. You honor me, said Zabuza. I've always wanted to take on one with the Sharingan, that eye that can read and defeat the three styles and copy any jutsu the user sees. When I was part of Kirigakure's assassin squad, you were in the bingo book. The man who had copied over 1,000 jutsu Kopi Nin Kakashi. This makes no sense, thought Sasuke, glancing at Kakashi. The Sharingan is an Uchiha-only trait, could he be? Enough talk, said Zabuza, crouching. I have to kill the old geezer, but it seems that I have to kill you first, Kakashi. With that, he pulled his sword from the tree and leapt away. Naruto took this opportunity to turn on his own eyes, and activated Kangchi level 1. He saw Zabuza on top of the water, his left hand raised over his head in half-ram, and his right at chest level in half-ram. He could see the motions that Zabuza did, and knew that he had successfully mimicked his first jutsu. I better copy this down and work on it later. Ninpu Kirigakure no Jutsu 1, and Zabuza faded into the mist. Damn, said Kakashi. He'll come after me first. As a former Kirinin, Zabuza is exceptionally skilled in silent killing. You guys be on your guard. Zabuza could kill you like a small dog, you wouldn't notice until you're looking at your own mutilated body, and I can't use the Sharingan as well as I should. The mist is get thicker, yelled Naruto. And then they heard Zabuza's warped voice. Liver, lungs, spine, clavicle, vein, neck, vein, brain, kidneys, heart, 8 choices. Now which should I attack? Then the group felt it. It was like an enormous weight was pressing down on them, like walking into a den of ravenous lions. Sasuke, who had shown no emotion fighting the demon brothers, now visibly shivered. What an incredible ki. It's like I'll be killed if I make a wrong move. This is enough to drive a person insane. Is this the intensity of a jounin? I can't take it, I'd almost rather die and get it over with. He was drawn out of his fear by Kakashi's voice. Sasuke, don't worry, I'll protect you guys even if it kills me. Now both his eyes smiling, he said, I don't let my comrades die. Not after you, Obito. We'll see about that, came Zabuza's voice, and he appeared in front of Tazuna and behind Sakura and Sasuke. Kakashi materialized behind the Kirinin and stabbed him in the back with a kunai. The sound of dripping water reached their ears, and Zabuza dissolved into a puddle of water. He reappeared behind Kakashi and swung his sword, cutting Kakashi in two at the waist. Kakashi dissolved into water as well, which caught Zabuza by surprise. Miza Bunshin to think that he copied it in this mist. Don't move, said Kakashi, holding a kunai at Zabuza's neck. It's all over. Zabuza chuckled. Hey, it's over, you say? You just don't get it, do you? You can't beat me with your monkey see monkey do act. But you still amaze me when you rabbled on about protecting your comrades. You had already copied my Mizu Bunshin no Jutsu. You had your clone say those words to attract my attention while you hid in the mist. Nice plan, but... I'm not that easy, said Zabuza from behind Kakashi, while the one in front of him dissolved into water. He swiped with his overly large sword, and Kakashi ducked to avoid the weapon which embedded itself in the ground. Zabuza pivoted on the hilt to kick Kakashi in the chest, and sent the gray-haired jounin flying. Now, he thought, but he saw the small deadly objects around his feet. Makibishi throwing spikes. Kakashi, who had landed in the water at this point, felt himself heavily waterlogged. Damn, he cursed, and Zabuza appeared behind him. Fool, said the bandaged Kirinin, and performing a set of seals, he imprisoned Kakashi in a ball of water. Double damn, thought Kakashi, as Zabuza began to gloat. You may have been using the water to escape, or you may not have, but at any rate, it was foolish. Now you're trapped in my inescapable special prison. It makes things tougher if you can move, putting his left hand into half-ram. Zabuza glared at the genin and Tazuna. I'll save you for later first, the little ones and the old geezer. In front of said targets, another Zabuza rose out of the water. He wearing Hittite and acting like real shinobi, but you know what? A real shinobi is someone who has spent their life cheating death. Basically, once you guys are good enough to be listed in my book thing, I'll call you real shinobi. But now the second Zabuza disappeared, and Naruto found himself kicked in the face, and his Hittite was torn from him. Naruto-kun! Yelled Sakura, as the most recent object of her thoughts was sent flying backwards. Just a brat, muttered Zabuza, while Kakashi decided to abandon all pretense and save his team. Run! He yelled, ignoring any laws of physics. Take Tazuna-san and run! You have no chance of beating him. As long as he's got me, he won't move. And the Mizu Bunshin can't move far from the original. Never mind me, just get out of here. No, said Naruto, rising to his feet. Zabuza was really starting to annoy him. I've had my share of cheating death, and I'm not running away. With that, he charged at Zabuza, ignoring Sakura and Kakashi's cries for him to stop. Idiot, said Zabuza, and kicked him backwards again. Then he noticed that Naruto had gotten back his Hittite. Hey you eyebrowless BSDM junkie, put this in your book. Tying his Hittite to his forehead, he grinned. The one who will become Hokage is the Konoha Uzumaki Naruto. Now let's get wild. Sasuke and Sakura were amazed by this new Naruto, but Zabuza was not impressed. You've got guts, kid, maybe I'll show them to you. Run, you idiot! Shouted Kakashi. This was already over when I got caught. You're supposed to protect Tazuna-san. Did you forget that? You also said not to abandon your comrades, retorted Naruto with a smirk. You ready, Sasuke? Yeah, said Sasuke with a smirk. For some reason, Zabuza began to laugh. Still playing shinobi, are you? You guys don't know anything. When I was your age, these hands were already red with spilled blood, he said, holding up his free hand. When he heard Kakashi mutter something, he chuckled. So you have heard of it. Long ago, the Hidden Mist Village was known as the Bloody Mist because of the graduation exam. What makes it different than ours? Yelled Naruto to Zabuza. Zabuza chuckled and said, a battle royale to the death. At their shocked looks, he added, friends who have trained and eaten at the same table with each other are forced to battle until one of them loses their life. 10 years ago, said Kakashi, earning a glare from Zabuza, that exam was forced to change. This happened because the previous year a lone boy, who wasn't even a genin, massacred the entire graduating class. That was the demon of the mist, Momochi Zabuza. Zabuza chuckled. You see, you have no chance against me, he trailed of, and numerous Narutos came into existence. Kage Bunshin, he mused. A lot of them. As the Naruto clones piled onto Zabuza, the real Naruto reached into his pouch and opened a storage scroll. In a puff of smoke, the item within came out, and Naruto threw it at Sasuke, yelling for him to catch it. Sasuke caught it, and the item revealed itself to be Fuma Shuriken's Shadow Windmill. He tossed it at Zabuza, who said that it wouldn't work against him. But it swerved around the clone and headed toward the real one. You're aiming at the real me, but that's not enough, he yelled, catching it. He blanched when a second one appeared out of nowhere. A second one in the shadow, he thought, jumping over it. Kage Shuriken no Jutsu. A second one in the blind spot, thought Sakura, and her eyes widened as she watched Zabuza jump over it. He dodged it. Zabuza chuckled, but he heard a telltale poof behind him. Turning his head, he saw Naruto in place of the shuriken. Naruto threw a kunai at Zabuza, but Zabuza saw that it was way off target. Then he saw the telltale orange tag connect to the hilt. Mother! Katsu! Yelled Naruto, putting his hands into the ram seal, and the Bakuret Safuda, exploding tag, exploded next to Zabuza's face. The force of the explosion threw Zabuza backwards, and freed Kakashi from his watery prison. Zabuza shook his head to clear it. That little bastard had nearly burned him with that gamble. Damn brat! He yelled and rushed Naruto, who had fallen into the water. Naruto glared at him, and his shimmering orange eyes caused Zabuza to hesitate. Those eyes! That hesitation was enough for Kakashi to appear out of nowhere and block the sword with the metal on his gloves. As Sakura cheered on Kakashi's return, Kakashi congratulated Naruto and Sasuke for their teamwork. Nice plan, Naruto, you used Kage Bunshin as a diversion, while you transformed into the second from a shuriken. Then you had Sasuke throw both, and transform when Zabuza thought you missed. But was that exploding tag really necessary? Yeah, how else would you have gotten out? Little bastard, thought Zabuza, while outwardly saying, "Hey, you distracted me and I slipped up." Kakashi wasn't about to let Zabuza go that easily. Rango, you were forced to release it. And just so you'll know, I don't fall for the same jutsu twice. Naruto climbed out of the water and turned around just in time to see Zabuza and Kakashi leap apart on the water. When he saw their hands move, he knew that he might want to get down what they were about to do. He quickly muttered, "Tomo no Rinnegan, Kangchi-san." Now he was able to zoom in on their hands, and he prepared an empty scroll. Kakashi and Zabuza's hand flashed through 43 seals in a matter of seconds, and the final seal the two jounin did was the bird seal. 44 seals total, yes, I counted, and the two of them yelled, "Suetun, Suryuden no Jutsu, 2. On either side, a dragon made of water rose up, and circled each other before Kakashi's dragon wrapped its jaws around the neck of Zabuza's dragon, causing both dragons to collapse in a torrent of water. The tidal wave washed up to shore, and the four spectators shielded themselves as best they could. They went through at many seals in a matter of seconds, and Kakashi copied them all perfectly. Through the corner of his eye he saw Naruto, and casting a glance over, he saw Naruto put away the scroll he had. Glaring, he looked at Naruto's eyes and saw that they were slightly glowing yellow. Impossible that Dobe saw them. He has a Dijitsu? In the meantime, the water had settled to reveal Kakashi with a kunai versus Zabuza and his sword or cleaver. Strange, thought Zabuza. What's going on? Leaping away, he prepared to do a seal, when he saw Kakashi make the same motion. On that note, he came to a horrible realization. My movements he's completely reading them, finished Kakashi. What, thought Zabuza. Did he read my mind? Glaring hatefully at Kakashi's soul Sharingan, he tried to do another seal, only to have Kakashi mimic it. Damn, he cursed in his head. That freaky eye is really pissing me off, right? Said Kakashi calmly. Zabuza was started to get angry, but he tried to keep a clear head. All you're doing is copying me. You can't beat me, you monkey bastard! He yelled, and Kakashi yelled it out at the exact same time. That was the breaking point, and abandoning all pretense, Zabuza endeavored to finish his jutsu. Damn you! He yelled, flashing through seals and seeing Kakashi do the same. I'll teach you to copy me. I'll make it so you can never use that eye and mouth of yours ever again. But he stiffened. What in? For behind him, he saw an afterimage of himself. That's me, he thought, but this proved to be a critical mistake. Kakashi finished the order of seals, and ended in the ox seal. Suetun, Daibakufu no Jutsu! He yelled, and Zabuza found himself mesmerized by the spinning tomo of the Sharingan. An exploding whirlwind of water charged at Zabuza and caught him, flinging him into the trees. As Zabuza fell out of the tree to his knees, he saw Kakashi brandish a kunai. How? He asked. Can you see the future? Yes, said Kakashi, and your future is death. Kakashi never got it. A pair of Saban flew out of nowhere and embedded themselves in Zabuza's neck. The Nukenin let out a gurk, and fell on his side, lying still. Kakashi looked up to see a figure with a kimono and a white mask with the hidden mist emblem on the forehead. You're right, came a feminine voice. He's dead. Kakashi went over to Zabuza's still form, and checked his pulse. Nothing. He's really dead, he thought. Kill-stealing bastard. Arigato gozaimasu, said the masked nin, bowing her head. I've been hunting Zabuza for a while. That mask, said Kakashi. You're a Kirigakure hunter nin. You are correct, said the hunter nin. At Naruto's confused look, the hunter nin explained. It is my sworn duty to hunt and execute Nukenin. I am a member of Kirigakure's hunter nin squad. Naruto and Sasuke came to the realization that the hunter nin was not much older than they were, and Naruto was about to voice his complaints. Kakashi came out of nowhere and said, calm down. In this world, there are things you must understand, like people younger than you being stronger. Begrudging, Naruto accepted Kakashi's words, and vaguely noted that the hunter nin smelled female. Said hunter nin disappeared and reappeared next to Zabuza. Your battle is over, she said, lifting Zabuza onto her shoulder. Now I must dispose of this body, since it contains certain secrets. Farewell. With that and her right hand half-ram, the hunter nin disappeared in a swirl of leaves and mist. Kakashi pulled his hitate over his left eye, covering the Sharingan. Now, let's get Tazuna-san home. Tazuna laughed heartily. You guys rock. Come to my house and relax for a while. Speaking of relaxing, thought Kakashi, as he fell to the ground, amidst cries of Kakashi-sensei, Looks like I used too much chakra, he thought. Now I can't move. Kakashi-san, are you alright? Asked Tsunami, Tazuna's 29-year-old daughter. The group was now resting at Tazuna's house. Yeah, he said from his spot on the futon on the ground. I just can't move for about a week. I guess the Sharingan puts too much stress on your body, sensei, said Sakura kneeling beside him. Well, said Tazuna grinning, we defeated that strong of a shinobi this time. We should be safe for a while. By the way, asked Sakura, rubbing her chin, who was the kid with the mask? That was a hunter nin, said Kakashi, looking at the ceiling. Specifically, that was a member of Kirigaku's special hunter nin team, also called body erasers. Basically, a hunter nin's job is to completely dispose of a body and leave no traces. A shinobi's body contains the secrets of a hidden village ninjutsu, different chakra types, herbs, those kinds of things. For example, if I were killed in battle, the secrets of the Sharingan could be revealed. If you're not careful, there's the danger that the enemy could steal your jutsu. A shinobi's body can reveal things, so the job of hunter nin is to protect the village's secrets, and that means complete annihilation of the body. No sound, no smell, that's a fighting ninja's end. So Zabuza was chopped up and burned? Said Sakura, grimacing. Scary. Speaking of secrets, said Sasuke, glaring at Naruto, what's up with those eyes of yours, dope? Naruto tried to play dumb. What eyes? You can't fool me, growled Sasuke, narrowing his eyes. I saw you watching Kakashi and Zabuza's fight, and you were writing something while your eyes were glowing. That means that you have a digitsu that can copy things, and that's what you were doing right. Naruto cursed himself for his ignorance. He should have been paying more attention. Kakashi chuckled. Secret digitsu, huh? Naruto bowed his head, and when he lifted it, he had activated Kongchi. This was supposed to remain a secret, he growled to Sasuke. Sakura found herself mesmerized by Naruto's orange pools. She felt her heartbeat race, and she covered her blushing face. Ano, what do they do, Naruto-kun? She asked. Naruto looked at her squinting. She's never called me Naruto-kun before, and now she's got that honey smell like Hinata-chan. Well, I can see details on things, see far away, and see through things, he said. No need for them to know anymore. Kakashi nodded. So a combination of the Byakugan and the Sharingan. Yes, said Naruto, nodding and pulling his scroll beside him. I can't see chakra though, and the clan rules state that no one outside a family knows about our eyes. Smooth, he thought. No need to tell them about the other Tomo. So a cheap imitation of the Sharingan, said Sasuke with a smirk. That doesn't change a thing. You're still a dope to me. At least I activated my eyes, said Naruto, smirking right back. Elsewhere, the hunter nin dropped Zabuza to the ground and pulled out a pouch with medical tools. Pulling out a pair of scissors, she moved them to Zabuza's face. Okay, she said. First I'll cut the mouth cloth, and drain a little blood, and… That won't be necessary, said the revitalized Zabuza, grabbing the hand with the scissors and uncovering his mouth. Oh, she said. You're alive. Cursing, Zabuza pulled the saban from his neck. You shouldn't do that, said the hunter nin. You could die pulling them out like that. After Zabuza said to take off the mask, she reached up and pulled it off, revealing a pretty face framed by black hair and a Kirigaku hatite. It reminds me of the old days, and it was useful for the act. If I hadn't showed up, you would have died. If you were going to temporarily kill me, retorted Zabuza, massaging the entry wounds, you could hit me somewhere else. It didn't have to be my neck. You have the finesse of a butcher. Haku smiled at the insult. I know, I just didn't want to scar your body, and the neck doesn't have much muscle, so it's easier to hit the pressure point there. You shouldn't move for about a week, but you'll be able to move soon. Zabuza stared at her, then chuckled. You're so pure and clever, that's what I like about you, Haku. Haku smiled again. That's because I'm just a kid. Look, the mist is clearing. Will you be alright next time? Next time, I will defeat the Sharingan. Kakashi's eye snapped open, and he shot up and cursed loudly. Damn! While Sakura and Naruto recovered from their subsequent heart attacks, Tsunami wagged a finger at the Jounin. Kakashi-san, language! Gomen, Tsunami-san, said Kakashi, rubbing his masked face. I just realized something. It shames me to know it took this long, though. What, sensei? Asked Naruto as he, Sakura, and Sasuke crowded around him. Hunter nin usually dispose of the body on the spot, and they just take the target's head as proof of a successful kill. Finally, they rarely use saban to kill. He took the body with him, and those needles, muttered Sasuke, before his eyes widened. No way. Yes, said Kakashi. At Tazuna's confused look, he said, more than likely, Momochi Zabuza is still alive. The silence was so foreboding that a pin dropping would have sounded like a cannon shot. Finally, Naruto yelled out, But you said he was dead. You checked him yourself. Yeah, I did, said Kakashi, thinking back. But more than likely, that was a state of temporary death. Saban have low killing rate, unless they're aimed at a vital organ. Doctors use Saban in acupuncture, so it'd be an easy thing for a hunter-nin to put someone in a state of temporary death, since they know human physiology very well. That brings me to the second point, he said, bowing his head. That hunter-nin used Saban to kill him, and then carried him off. That means that hunter-nin was Zabuza's ally. His head bowed, Kakashi fell into deep thought. With Zabuza still alive, there's still no guarantee that Gato hired any more shinobi. What do you want us to do, sensei? Asked Sakura. You guys are gonna receive training, he said. Don't look at me like that, he said, catching the looks they were giving him. You guys saved me from someone who gave me a hard time, and that's saying something. But obviously, this is just until I get better. Stretching, Kakashi finished with, we should have about a week, because when someone is brought back from the temporary death, they can't move for a while until their body returns to normal. Nice, said Naruto. This sounds like fun. No, it's not, came a little voice. Holy shit! Gasped Naruto, but low enough so Tsunami couldn't hear him. Tazuna called the little boy who appeared out of nowhere Inari, and held open his arms for a hug. Inari ran to him, saying, Grandpa. These are the people who saved your grandpa, said Tazuna, pointing at the 3 genin. Mommy, they're all gonna die, said Inari, pointing at the genin. Little punk, growled Naruto, leaping to his feet. When Inari said that they would definitely lose to Gato, Naruto had to restrain by Sakura, who didn't redden and asked him why he was getting mad at a little kid. Listen up, Inari, said Naruto, pointing. I'm a hero who become Hokage someday. That Gato's got nothing on me. Inari snorted and said, Are you an idiot? Heroes don't exist. If you don't want to die, then leave while you still can. With that, Inari turned on his heel and went to his room. Okay, now we start training, said Kakashi. He had taken the genin to a forest and was now using crutches to get around. I assume you all know what chakra is, right? When the 3 genin nodded, Kakashi sighed in relief. I'm gonna teach you how to harness it correctly. But we can already use jutsu, said Sasuke. Nope, said Kakashi, looking up a tree. You guys aren't using it correctly. At their confused looks, he continued. To release chakra means to harness spiritual and physical energy in your body and mix them within you. Based on what jutsu you use, the type and amount of chakra that is released will be different. But you guys aren't using your chakra effectively. Even if you're able to release a high amount of chakra, it isn't worth spit if you can't control it properly. Any jutsu you use will be weakened or won't work at all. So basically, you'll be screwed in a fight because of wasting energy. So what do you want us to do? Asked Naruto. You guys are gonna learn how to control your chakra by climbing trees. How will tree climbing help us? Asked Sakura. Kakashi's eye smiled. You'll be doing it without using your hands. In this order, Sasuke, Naruto, Sakura. Sweet. How are we going to do that? Putting his hands in the ram's seal, Kakashi turned to his tree and walked straight up it, crutches and all. You gather chakra in the soles of your feet and climb. The main purpose of this exercise is to teach you chakra control. Bringing out the right amount to the right area. This is essential when using jutsu. Hell, even a skilled ninja has trouble with this exercise. The amount of chakra needed for tree climbing is small, but it must be exact. They say that the soles of the feet are extremely difficult to gather chakra at. So basically, if you master this, then you can master any jutsu in theory, that is. The second purpose is to give you stamina needed for chakra control. Depending on the jutsu, controlling your chakra can be difficult as well. And a shinobi will usually be doing this while constantly moving, usually in battle. These types of situations can be very stressful on you and your chakra control. That's why you'll be climbing trees. Well, he said, pulling out 3 kunai. Me standing here talking isn't going to do anything. This is something you have to do yourself. With that, he threw the kunai at the 3, and the kunai landed at their feet. Use those kunai to mark how far you get up the tree, then try to get higher than you did. You guys won't be able to do it well at first, so try running to gain momentum. The 3 nodded and ran at their respective trees. Naruto, trying to use as little chakra as he could due to his massive stores, ended up taking 3 steps up the tree before falling. Sasuke, on the other hand, used too much chakra and made 4 steps up the tree before the wood underfoot splintered and he was forced to vault off. Damn, he thought, glaring at his mark. Too much chakra, and the wood cracks too little, and you won't get far. Sakura had made it to the top of her tree and shouted down, "This is pretty easy." "Looks like Sakura's the best at chakra control," said Kakashi, while Naruto shouted up how well Sakura did. "I guess Sakura's closer to being Hokage than a certain someone," he said, glancing at Naruto. Offhandedly, he added, "Looks like the Uchiha clan is worth much." Either this rose both Naruto and Sasuke's ire. Off to the side, Inari stood watching. Watching these retards train is sorta funny, they don't know that it's a waste of time. Meanwhile, thousands of miles away, what was meant, in a secluded yet giant treehouse, Haku kept a steady vigil over a bedridden Zabuza. Then she heard footsteps, and winced slightly. It was him again. "Ha, so even you came back defeated," said Gato, accompanied by his samurai, not looking a bit like any other bodyguards, Zori, Imo, and Waraji, Eye Patch. "Looks like Kirinin suck major ass. And you call yourself a demon? You make me laugh." Zabuza glared at the fat man, and Gato's bodyguards put their hands to the hilts of their swords. "Hold on a second," said Gato, stepping forward. Coming up to Zabuza, he reached for the Nukinin's bandaged mouth, saying, "There's no need to stay silent." With the reflexes of a high-strung cat, Haku grabbed Gato's outstretched arm and crushed the bones. "Don't you dare touch Zabuza-sama with your filthy hands," she hissed. "No!" cried Gato. "My best hand." Waraji and Zori reached for their swords, but Haku had disarmed them and held their own weapons at their throats. "Get out now! Before I become even more angry than I am now," she hissed, and her eyes turned as cold as ice. Sweating, the trio left. "You get one more chance!" yelled Gato, cradling his broken arm as he and his cronies left. "If you fail, you're out of here! Remember that!" When they were gone, Zabuza lifted his sheets to reveal a kunai. "You didn't have to do that, you know?" "I know," Haku replied. "But it's too early to kill Gato, it'll draw attention to us, and then they will be after us again." Smiling, she added, "We must bide our time." Sakura sat panting at the base of her tree. Kakashi had left after telling them to do their best, so the three genin were alone in the clearing. "I'm worn out, those two are stamina monsters," she thought, looking over at Naruto and Sasuke. They really look like they're improving Naruto-kun even more, so she blushed again. She didn't like Naruto, she liked Sasuke. Naruto went over to Sakura and knelt in front of her, ignoring the honey smell he could tell was now coming from her. "Do you think you could help me out, Sakura-chan?" he asked. Sure," she said, embarrassed by his close proximity. "Chakra is mainly spiritual energy, so you can't get too excited. To gather chakra to your feet, just relax and focus on the tree." Naruto grinned and nodded, and gave her a hug. "Arigatou gozaimasu," he said, then scurried but to his tree. Sakura sat there, her heart racing. "He touched me," she thought frantically. "He touched me." As Sasuke watched Naruto finally reach the top of his tree after 3 tries, he glared hatefully at his blonde teammate. He had considered asking Sakura for help, but he remembered how his did the same with his father and his older brother, and look what happened there. So he was determined to do it on his own. Sakura saw him struggling with his efforts, so she thought that she should help him out. After all, if Naruto can do it, then surely Sasuke-kun could, she thought. Approaching him, she asked, "Sasuke-kun? Would you like some tips on getting up to the top?" "I don't need your help," he snapped. "I can do it on my own. I don't need anyone's help." Naruto watched out of sight from the top of his tree. Narrowing his eyes, he knew this was going to turn ugly pretty quick. Sakura recoiled at the venom in Sasuke's voice. "I was just trying to help, Sasuke-kun. Like I said before, I don't need anyone's help, least of all yours," he growled, glaring at her through a slanted eye. "Do you have any idea of how sick I am of you following me like a lost puppy? You're pathetic. The only reason you got up that tree so quickly with your chakra control is because your reserves are way too small. The only thing you'd be useful for is your book smarts and genjutsu. Wait, you fell for an incredibly simple one during the bell test." Sakura was trembling at the lashing she was getting from her supposed Sasuke-kun, and she knew he wasn't done yet. "I, on the other hand, have more jutsu than I have to deal with, and more chakra than you," he said, ignoring the look in her eyes. "The only way I'd accept your help or even think of going out with you would be if you were at least up to the Hyuga bitch's level." Naruto was seething now. Not only did Sasuke tear into his Sakura-chan about her weaknesses, he had the nerve to call his Hinata-chan a bitch. Oh, he was going to regret this big time. "Frankly, you're as weak as the dobe, even with his sad little Kekai Genkai. A jutsu or two wouldn't help you, you'd be better off just quitting as a kunoichi." Turning away and going to another tree, he threw a final insult over his shoulder. "By the way, even if I did think about going out with you, I wouldn't. Not on my clan's honor." Sakura felt her heart shatter into tiny pieces. Her eyes filled with tears, she stood there, Sasuke's voice in her head, telling her that she was a waste of time and space. As her tears streamed down her face, she turned around and ran out of the clearing, sobbing quietly. Naruto had had enough. He knew that what Sasuke said to Sakura was unbearably harsh, but it was also unnecessary. Now he made his Sakura-chan cry. Naruto shook his head. When did he think of Sakura-chan as his? Putting that thought aside, he jumped through the trees, following Sakura as she ran, but not until he threw a kunai with an exploding tag attached to the hilt at Sasuke's tree. Katsu, he muttered. Sasuke snorted at the sounds of Sakura's anguish. I did her a favor, he muttered, making his way up the tree. As he reached the highest point he had gotten to previously, a thunk in the tree made him pause and check the area. He saw a kunai inches away from his feet, and at the sight of the exploding tag on the kunai, his eyes widened. The kunai went off, and he was thrown backwards by the force of the explosion. He collided with a tree behind him, and was knocked blissfully unconscious. Sakura came to a stop in another clearing, and she fell to her knees, crying her heart out. Sasuke had been brutal in his assessment of her abilities, and deep down, she knew that she was weaker than the two of them, and Hinata as well. She felt so depressed that her mind began to wander, and thoughts of suicide drifted in. She felt someone grab her from behind, and she yelped, standing to her feet to try to fight off her assailant. Sakura-chan. She heard, and she calmed down. Naruto-kun? She whispered, turning around. Naruto had hugged her from behind, and now had a warm, sincere smiling on his face. I heard what Sasuke-team said, he said, spitting out Sasuke's name like a curse. And I think he's a stuck-up bastard who's going to die alone. As far as I know, out of the three of us, you've got the better chance of becoming Hokage. Sakura felt horrible. Here was Naruto, telling her all these things, and she knew that she was worthless. And no, I don't, she said, tears falling. I can't do anything. The only reason I became a kunoichi was so as Sasuke would look at me, but now she trailed off, beginning to cry. No, said Naruto, wiping away her tears. He's way wrong. Look at me, I couldn't do a simple bunshin or henge, and I turned out just fine. So if someone with horrible control and a lot of chakra can do it, then you can too. Sakura sniffled and asked, do you mean that, Naruto-kun? Every word, and I never go back on my word, he said, stroking her back. Sakura wiped away her tears and hugged him, saying, thank you, Naruto-kun, and I'm sorry for being mean to you before. It's okay, he said. I just want to see you happy. Happy, the word traveled through her head, and she came to several conclusions right there. First, Sasuke was a selfish asshole, and she had been searching for gold when Naruto were the apparent diamonds. Second, Naruto treated her like someone, unlike a certain Uchiha. Third, she now knew that her thoughts on Naruto now were genuine, and she felt her heart race at the closeness they were at. Naruto stood nuzzling her neck, when he caught a familiar smell. Now he looked at Sakura, and she looked back at him, her eyes lidded green orbs. On one accord, she reached up and began kissing him, feeling her body given to what she had been fighting off during the time of Team 7. Naruto was surprised that Sakura-chan was kissing him, but he had no complaints, so he kissed her back, gently massaging her back. Sakura backed slowly against the tree, pulling him with her, and wrapped her arms around him. I want Naruto-kun, she thought through her hazed mind. He's here and I want him to make me his. It's easy to say that Naruto was startled by the hand he felt at his pants. Sakura, he gasped. You. I like you, Naruto-kun, said Sakura, undoing the buttons on her one piece while reaching for her black shorts. And I want to make up to you all those years of me being a bitch. Smiling, she whispered in his ear, I offer myself to you body and soul. Because everyone's been so patient with me on Wrath of the Dragon, I've decided to reward all of you with another lemon. This means that I'll have to lay off the lemons for a few chapters or so, but it'll be worth it. The same thing I said before applies, you don't like it, don't read it. Matter of fact, you don't like it, just stop reading, because as soon as the lemon ends, it goes to the author's final notes. Anyway, without further ado, here is the second lemon of Windows of the Soul. Naruto's mind shut down, but the primal side of him born of the failed transfer sealing remained alert. Because of the failed jutsu, it had tampered with Naruto's genetic structure, unlocking certain genes that millennia of evolution had shut off in humans. Certain genes, which made him more animal-like. His mind slowly reawakening, Naruto purred and kissed his newfound mate. Sakura kissed him back, her still growing pushing against his chest. Naruto distantly noted that while they were smaller than Hinata-chan's, they still were slightly bigger than a handful. Sakura had undone Naruto's pants, and held his now growing manhood in her silky hands. She heard her Naruto-kun moan, and she smiled inwardly as she gently pulled it to her moist entrance. She would soon be his, and then she would show that bastard Sasuke the true meaning of pain. Naruto, unaware of her thoughts, pushed himself into her silky thighs, kissing her as she let out a yelp of pain, reassuring her with a hug as she trembled. Sakura couldn't believe how large the thing was that was inside her. She had felt some pain, like a kunai stab, and knew that Naruto had taken her virginity. Her arms around him, she distantly thought about what her parents would do to her if they found out about this, but she threw those thoughts to the wind, thinking Naruto-kun will protect me. Naruto began to slowly thrust into Sakura, hearing her gasp in pleasure. Suckling on her neck, he began to drive into her against the tree. Sakura was now moaning and crying out his name in pure ecstasy, and wrapped her legs around his waist. She had been denied long enough, and now she was sorry that she had nearly missed out on this. The pace growing faster, Naruto began to grunt with each thrust, and Sakura kept her grip on him as he drove her to cloud 9. Soon, she felt a searing heat in her womb, and cried out Naruto's name as she clenched down on him. Naruto growled out her name, and as he pulsed into her, his eyes opened to reveal purple eyes with slitted pupils, and his whisker marks grew more pronounced. Sakura felt something warm and wet splash inside her, and she gasped out his name in ecstasy, before all went black. Sakura opened his eyes to see Naruto's sleeping face. Blearily, she looked around to see where they were, and found that they were in a tree. The memories of the previous night came rushing back, and she blushed, now realizing why her lower body felt so strange. Sasuke had badly berated her, shattering her feelings about him, and Naruto had followed her and comforted her, and then the two of them made love. It got to the point that she passed out from the feelings, then woke up to find Naruto making love to her on a tree branch. She giggled at the look on his face as he slept. He looked so innocent, nothing like the sexual beast he was last night. She then realized that they had been out the whole night. Kakashi wouldn't like this, not one bit. She stretched, like a cat, and lifted herself off of Naruto, his member popping free of her and a small stream of their juices leaking out of her. Slightly reddening, she wiped the stream clean, then turned around and gave her Naruto-kun a kiss on his cheek. She didn't care what her parents thought of him, she knew that she would love him, no matter what. Closing her one-piece dress and pulling up her shorts, she made sure that Naruto was at least presentable, before jumping down the tree and walking away. She paused, looked up at her sleeping lover, smiled, and walked back to Tazuna's house. On her way there, she gaped at the destroyed tree, and then saw Sasuke resting on the highest limb of the one next to it. Why did I ever love him? She asked herself as she approached Tazuna's house. Once inside, she saw Kakashi looking at her vaguely, and she sweat dropped. What? She asked. Where were you? And for that matter, where is Naruto? Asked Kakashi. He didn't ask about Sasuke, she thought. So Sasuke must already have been here and left. Me and Naruto-kun were out training, she smoothly lied. We fell asleep working on the exercise you gave us. Kakashi gazed at her, but said nothing. Finally, he said, I need you to watch over Tazuna while he works on the bridge. Ano-sensei, what about Sasuke? She didn't call Sasuke Sasuke-kun, he thought. Something happened when I left. He went out to train some more. Sakura nodded, then asked, do you mind if I take a quick shower? I'm all sticky from training. Kakashi waved her off, and she ran upstairs to shower. Hours later, Sakura found herself bored out of her skull watching over Tazuna. I wish that Naruto-kun were here, she thought idly, giggling absently. You seem very bored, said Tazuna, lugging a long board on his shoulders. Where are your two friends? The blonde and the other one? Naruto-kun and Sasuke are training, she replied. When Tazuna asked if she didn't have to, she said I could, but I have to watch over you for the moment. The only other event that happened, there was a man by the name of Jichi came to Tazuna and told him that he wanted to quit working on the bridge. When Tazuna asked why, Jichi replied that even though it was for a good cause, it would be pointless if Gata killed Tazuna. This bridge is our bridge, Tazuna said to Jichi, after the latter tried to have Tazuna stop work altogether. This is the bridge we started building together, believing it would bring much-needed resources to our super poor country. But it's not worth a damn thing if we lose our lives, said Jichi indignantly. Tazuna ignored this statement and said, it's noon, let's shut down for today. And Jichi, don't bother coming tomorrow. Later found Sakura escorting Tazuna through the village. It looked more like an open slum than a village. What's going on? She thought, looking around. Are things really this bad? Her question was answered when they reached the marketplace. Now it looked like the village was going through a severe famine, as there was hardly any food inside. We really need to complete that bridge, thought Sakura. Then she stiffened as she felt a hand touching her butt. Kaya! She cried, spinning and catching the offender with a roundhouse kick. He had been reaching for her bag, but had touched her but instead, earning a Chuck Norris-style kick from a volatile kunoichi. Again, she thought as soon as they left the store. Someone else was touching her, and it definitely wasn't her Naruto-kun. Her thoughts of brutally maiming the offender were shot down when she saw it was but a child. Here you go, she said, giving the child some sweets. The happy child hugged her leg and ran off, leaving Sakura and Tazuna alone. That's why we need to complete the bridge, said Tazuna. Gata's made our lives a living hell, and it's gotten to the point where the adults have lost all faith. That bridge is like the dragonfly, a symbol of courage, strength, and happiness. We need everyone to lose their fear and stand up as one. If we do that, then everything will be back the way it started. Later found Team 7 and the Tazuna household eating dinner. More like Naruto and Sasuke were devouring as much as they could, trying to outdo the other. Naruto-kun, slow down, you'll choke, said Sakura. Gomen, Sakura-chan, said Naruto, an eye on Sasuke. I'm a bit hungry, is all. Sasuke glared at Naruto. He knew that it was Naruto that did that crap with the exploding tag. He just decided not to mention it to anyone. 1. It would raise questions as to why Naruto did it, questions that didn't need to be asked. 2. It was a matter of pride. Naruto had caught him by surprise, and Sasuke would never let him have the pleasure of seeing him caught off guard again. After dinner, Sakura gazed at a certain picture on the wall. The picture torn, she noted absently. Inari stiffened. Of course he had torn the picture out, but he didn't want them to know that. So he left the table, ignoring his mother's calls. The one missing from the picture, said Tazuna, his gaze sad, was Tsunami-chan's husband, and the one called the hero of this city. Inari had a father, not related by blood, but as close as a real father and son. But because of Gata, Inari changed, and the word hero was stolen from us. What happened? Asked Kakashi. Tazuna took off his glasses and rubbed his eyes. First, I have to tell you about that man. Flashback. Inari woke up. The last thing he remembered was some bullies that stole his dog Pochi and threw him in the water. When Inari went to go to save Pochi, he remembered that he couldn't swim. It didn't matter though, he ended up in the water anyway. Inari could now smell cooking fish. He was pretty sure that he drowned though. You awake, kid? Came a voice. Looking beside him, Inari saw a man dressed like a fisherman. I taught those bullies a valuable lesson. Now eat up, my friend, there's plenty more where that came from. Who are you? Are you Ryujin 1? Nope, the name's Kaiza. End flashback. From that point on, Inari and Kaiza were nigh inseparable, said Tazuna. He originally came here to follow his dreams, but once he met Inari, the two of them became very close. Maybe it was Inari never knew his real father, but Kaiza was like Inari's real father. Also, Kaiza was one to help out whenever he could. Flashback. Kaiza! Yelled a villager. The rains are overflowing the dams. The area's gonna be flooded. Not on my watch, said Kaiza, shooting up. Inari, bring me a rope. Outside, the heavy rains had pushed a floodgate open. This is bad, said one of the workers. We have to tie a rope to the gate and close it. Are you mad? Shouted another. Those rapids will tear you to shreds. I'll do it, said Kaiza, ignoring the cries of don't do it. And you'll die. Kaiza tied the rope to his waist. Worry not, Inari, he said to his surrogate son, ruffling his hair. Your dad is invincible, because he loves the city, and you along with it. With that, he jumped in the water. As he struggled to close the gate, he yelled in his head, Ocean. Why do you betray me, Ocean? Oh yeah, the harvesting using all of his strength, he did the impossible. End flashback. Kaiza was called a hero by everyone, and Inari couldn't have been more proud of his father, said Tazuna. But then, Gata came to the village. And? Asked Naruto, on the edge of his seat. Gata had Kaiza brutally killed, in front of the whole village. The genin briefly paled. Gata said that he had been conducting terrorist activities against his company, and had him put to death, said Tazuna, recalling the sad day. And from that day onward, everyone changed. Inari, Tsunami-chan, the whole village as well. Naruto, who had been quiet aside from his question, stood up. Naruto-kun? Asked Sakura. I'm gonna train some more, he said, grinning, to prove that heroes are still left in this world. The next morning found Naruto passed out on the ground, his giant scroll beside him. But while his mind was asleep, the primal part of him was always active. And it told him to lie still. A girl in a pink kimono approached. She had herbs in her basket, and she caught sight of the blonde. She slowly walked up to him, and recognized him as the blonde from the Zabuza fight. She tilted her head, for he looked so serene and with that feral male beauty as well. She reddened slightly. This was no time for fraternizing with the enemy. But still. Haku shook Naruto awake. You shouldn't sleep here, she said gently. You might catch a cold. Naruto grinned wearily. I've been through worse. Moments later found Naruto helping Haku search for more herbs. Is this the one? He asked, pointing to a plant. Hi, answered Haku. Thank you for helping me. You're up early, miss, commented Naruto, as he recognized her scent. She's that hunterine that was with Zabuza. You too, replied Haku. What are you doing out this early in the morning? Training, said Naruto. I want to become stronger, so that's why I'm here. Haku, being absolutely sincere, replied, but you look plenty strong to me. Naruto detected a bit of, at least what he thought, a small affection. I know, he said, squinting and grinning. But I want to become stronger, so I can be the best shinobi in my village, and to prove myself to a certain someone who shall remain nameless, he said, thinking of Sasuke with a grimace. He hadn't finished making the emo boy suffer yet. Haku giggled and asked, Do you have a precious person, someone close to you? Her thoughts went back to her childhood, where she was alone and unable to help herself. But then Zabuza came. When someone has something they're willing to lay their life down for, then they can become truly strong. Naruto thought about this. He thought of Sandaime, who was the first to acknowledge him, then Irika, who thought of him as a surrogate brother. His thoughts went to Hinata-chan and Sakura-chan, and the love they shared with him. Hinata-chan was the first to show him true love, and Sakura-chan showed him redemption and love. Yeah, he said grinning. I'm also growing stronger to protect my loved ones. Haku smiled, and she stood about, leaving the clearing as she said, You will become strong, let's meet again somewhere. I'm sure we will, said Naruto. Tell Zabuza-san that I want to show him my strength. Haku stiffened. He had known? Her thoughts were answered by Naruto's voice. I can smell him on you. I can also tell that you're female, so it's not worth it saying you're an extremely pretty boy. But I'm not mad, I just want to be friends, believe it? Haku bowed her head. He truly was something else. As do I, she said, walking away. As do I. The next day, Naruto met up with Sakura in another clearing. Okay, Sakura-chan, I have some things to tell you. Sakura sat cross-legged, and motioned for him to continue. Naruto sat down and pulled up his scroll. Sakura-chan, I'm afraid I haven't been totally honest with you, he said, he gazed in his lap. Do you remember the story of the Kyuubi? Sakura nodded. Who didn't? Well, the Yondaime wasn't able to kill the Kyuubi, so he had to seal it away, so that its evil could never be used again. Unfortunately, he couldn't seal it in himself, so he chose a newborn baby, a baby born on that sad day. Sakura was overwhelmed by this information. Yondaime-sama had beaten the Kyuubi, but didn't kill it. He locked it away in a baby born on October 10th, and saved the village at the cost of his own life. So, by all accounts, she said slowly, the adults lied to us so we wouldn't know, but that little baby should be a hero, right? Naruto was surprised. Sakura-chan was taking this rather well. Yeah, but the adults saw him as Kyuubi incarnate, so he was poorly treated most of his life. He was silenced when Sakura reached over and hugged him. My poor Naruto-kun, she murmured. You were that child, weren't you? He nodded. As it turns out, the only reason Yondaime chose Mai was because he wasn't going to condemn someone else's child and he wanted his son to live on. Sakura drew back, her eyes wide. You are the son of Yondaime-sama? She asked. Naruto grinned. Yeah, and I found out about the Kyuubi from Mizuki team. He said that Sandaime made a law about the Kyuubi, and so, none of our generation knew. That made Sakura think. Her parents had told her to stay away from Naruto, and when she had told them the team designations, they had raised a big stink about it, but let it go. She involuntarily chuckled. What's so funny? Oh, nothing, said Sakura. What did you do after you found out? Naruto rubbed his head sheepishly. I sorta tried to transfer seal the Kyuubi to a fox statue with holy seals all over, because I wanted to prove that I wasn't Kyuubi, but the sealing backfired, and I got stuck with just about all the Kyuubi's chakra, but no Kyuubi. Sakura had felt her heart race at the thought of a free Kyuubi, but she calmed down when Naruto told her that he had all the Kyuubi's chakra. Ano, but why did you call me out here? To tell me about the Kyuubi, I'm sure, but... Straight to the point, said Naruto, opening his scroll. When Sakura asked him why he was showing her the scroll, he replied with a grin, because of, well, you know, I now consider you family. It's not that shallow, it's just. Sakura kissed his cheek. I understand, she said. What else is there? Naruto leaned back. Well, I sorta got together with Hinata-chan, and she said that the Shinobi Council would force me into all sorts of marriages if they found out about my lineage. Sakura nodded, then she remembered what he said. Wait, you're with Yuga Hinata? Shy little Hinata? Naruto snorted. More like she jumped me after I took her home when she fainted, and she ain't shy no more. Anyway, Hinata-chan said that it'd be better more me to choose the girls I want to be with, but I have to show them to her first. Sakura nodded, her mind on autopilot. So she said that you'll need a harem? Naruto squinted. I dislike that word, I'd prefer to think of it as a big family. He shook his head. Anyway, he pointed to an inscription. I wanted to teach you Kage Bunshin. Sakura thought about it. Solid clones that actually were able to hurt someone. Reading over the description, she blanched. Naruto-kun, Kage Bunshin is a kinjutsu. I know, he said, but I wanted to help you get stronger. Kage Bunshin divides your chakra evenly amongst the clones you make, so I figured that if we work on increasing your chakra coils, then you'll show Sasuke team who's boss. He punctuated his statement with a thumbs up. Also, I think when the Bunshin go away, their memories go to you. Sakura laughed. No way. Bunshin can't do that. Naruto shook his head. I think so. Remember when Kakashi-sensei did that Sannin Goroshi thing on the clone? Right after the clone went poof, I suddenly felt violated and scarred for life. Strangely, Naruto shivered at the memory. Sakura thought about it. It could be possible, but she need one more bit of proof. Make a clone, she ordered. When Naruto did so, Sakura grabbed the clone by the hand and walked away with it. A couple of minutes later, she came back without the clone, and sat in front of him. Well? She said. After a moment, Naruto grinning foxily. You told the clone that you wanted to visit my house when this mission was over, and see how comfortable you could get. Sakura reddened. So Kage Bunshin could do that, and now, Naruto knew that she wanted to stay over at his house for comfort. Okay, you win, Naruto-kun. Standing up, she said, teach me. I don't want to be useless, and I want to be strong. Naruto grinned and stood up. Let's get things started. Hours later found Kakashi doing push-ups with his index finger, with Tsunami and Tazuna on his back. I'm confused about one thing, said Tazuna. Why did you still take the mission when I lied about it? Below the courageous, there's nothing, said Kakashi. Those were the words of Yandame Hokage-sama. Shinobi don't move because of money alone. He and a certain individual had the same thought at this point. My body is about back to normal. Hours later found Naruto carrying a sleeping Sakura inside Tazuna's home, bridal style. Welcome back, said Tazuna. You two look worn out. Both of us were training, said Naruto, as he sat and kept Sakura in his lap. Sasuke snorted and thought to himself, it won't make a difference. Kakashi, with his Aika paradise warped mind, thought other thoughts, but he reasoned with, they're not even Chunin, yet so instead, he said, well done. Okay, starting tomorrow you and Sasuke will help protect Tazuna-san. Tazuna chuckled as Naruto gently set Sakura into the chair next to him. I'm worn out too, but it looks like the bridge is nearly done. Maybe another day's work, and it'll be complete. Naruto slumped forward, drained from the training he did with Sakura. He was broken out of his stupor by a previously quiet Inari, who yelled, why do you guys even bother trying? No matter what you do, you're no match for Gatta's men. No matter what, in the face of the strong, the weak perish. Sakura, who had been rudely awakened by Inari, glared at the little boy while Kakashi, Sasuke, Tazuna, and Tsunami gazed at him with something less than shock. Whatever, came Naruto's droned voice. I'm not like you. I'd hate to be you, shouted Inari, tears streaming. You don't know anything about this country, and you don't know anything about me. I'm way different than you, you clown. You don't know how hard my life is. This clearly was the wrong thing to say, as the temperature in the room seemed to drop several degrees. Slowly, Naruto turned to face Inari, his blue eyes as cold as ice as Inari flinched. You think your life sucks? He said slowly. Except for a select few, my entire village hates my very existence. I've been through enough brushes with death to send him to come for me in broad daylight. So don't go whining about how bad your life is, because there's always someone who's worse off. He shouted the last part, then stood up and left. He paused when Sakura grabbed his hand, and when he saw her eyes he sighed, then left the room. Later found Inari sitting on the balcony of his house, looking at the ocean under the moon. Can I join you? Asked Kakashi, who appeared behind him. When Inari didn't answer, Kakashi assumed implied consent, and sat next to him. You know, Naruto didn't mean any harm by what he said, he started. Sometimes, he just goes off without thinking, but he's generally a good person. Gazing at the ocean, Kakashi droned on. Tazuna-san told us about Kai's thing is, Naruto grew up without his father, just like you. Actually, you have it better off than he did. At Inari's confused look, Kakashi moved on. Naruto grew up not knowing his parents, and before he came onto Team 7, he's never had a friend. But he strove through it, to prove to everyone what a good shinobi he can be. He probably got sick of crying, and he probably knows what it means to be strong, just like your father. The next morning, Kakashi, Tazuna, Sakura, and Sasuke left Tazuna's house. Naruto was inside sleeping, as he had worked himself to the bone. Take care of Naruto-kun, said Sakura waving. Let's super special awesome go, said Tazuna enthusiastically. Please don't say that. At the bottom of the bridge, Zabuza and Haku with her Hunter-Nin mask on gazed impassively, ignoring the squawking radio that spewed Gata's voice. You ready, Haku? Asked Zabuza. Hi, she said. One thing, Haku, said Zabuza. That boy Uzumaki Naruto, watch out for him. Out of those four, he and Kakashi are the most dangerous. How so? She asked, confused. If my hunch is correct, said Zabuza, then if that Uzumaki kid knows about his eyes, he's well within his rights to kill any Kirin he comes across. Said Uzumaki was frantically getting dressed. Sakura-chan had left him a note saying to meet them at the bridge. As he left Tazuna's house, he saw a bush rustle. Would you please stop saying super special awesome, Tazuna-san? Said Sakura irritably to Tazuna, who had said it yet again. It stopped being funny a while ago. Tazuna, ignoring Sakura's bashing of his new catchphrase, gaped at the 5 wounded workers lying on the bridge. What the hell happened? He asked frantically, and stiffened when the worker gasped out, a monster, and then, the mist rolled in. Oh hell, muttered Kakashi. On point, he said sharply. This is it, they're here. Kirigakyu no Jutsu, said Sakura under her breath. Long time no see, Kakashi, came Zabuza's voice through the mist. I see you're still with those brats, poor duck ass, he's shaking in his boots. As the mist cleared, there were 6 Zabuzas around the 4. I'm trembling, said Sasuke, grinning, with excitement. On Kakashi's orders, Sasuke moved with the speed of a tiger and slashed through the Zabuzas, and they dropped to the ground in splashes of water. Some yards away, the real Zabuza and Haku appeared. Looks like the brat's grown, said Zabuza, now wearing a black muscle shirt, black pants, and striped arm and leg warmers. Looks like you have a rival now, Haku? Indeed, said she. Looks like I was right, said Kakashi. That masked guy was Zabuza's comrade. I'll fight him, said Sasuke, stepping forward. Tricking us with that stupid act, I hate bastards like that. Impressive, said Haku, gazing impassively at Sasuke. Even if the Mizu Bunshin have 1/10 the strength of the original, still, impressive. With that, she disappeared and reappeared in front of Sasuke and lashed out. Fast, thought Sasuke as he parried her blow. Back at Tazuna's house, Waraji and Zori had broken in and cornered Tsunami. Inari came running at his mother's scream, and saw the 2 samurai. Mom! Run, Inari! Yelled Tsunami. Go and get help. Gata said to get the women. Should we take the brat too? Asked Waraji, and Zori answered, we only need 1 hostage. Ah, said Waraji, pulling his sword. Then maybe the brat needs to go. Wait, said Tsunami frantically. Lay 1 finger on the boy, and I'll bite my tongue and kill myself. You need a hostage, take me instead. Fine, said Zori. Thank your mom, kid. Inari crouched behind the wall and cried to himself. He wanted to help his mother, but he didn't want to die. Then, Kakashi's voice appeared in his head. Then Kaisa's and his family. I'm gonna be strong, he said, standing. I will be strong. Outside, Tsunami walked in front of Zori and Waraji, the latter stroking Tsunami's skin while saying, He, such pretty skin gives me ideas, no? Zori groaned and said, Walk faster, woman. Waraji, you can slake your lust later. Wait. Waraji, Zori, and Tsunami turned around to see Inari running at them, yelling, Let go of my mom. Cut him, said Zori, drawing his sword. Finally, said Waraji, drawing his as well. The 2 rushed the small child, ignoring Tsunami's cries, and slashed. Instead of Inari, they cut a log with his hat on it. Hearing a chuckle, they turned around to see Naruto with Inari on his shoulder. They prepared to charge him, when they heard a voice behind them say, Hey you guys. Spinning around, they saw a grinning Naruto, and then all went black as they got the crap beaten out of them by Kage Bunshin. Thanks for your help, Inari, said Naruto as his Bunshins tied up the two samurai. You've grown, and that's what counts. Kazai-sen was right, and you're proof right now. Looking at the two tied-up samurai, Naruto cursed lowly. If these guys are here, then there's trouble at the bridge. Turning to Inari, he gave him a thumbs up and said, Take over from here, Inari. Be a hero. When Inari nodded and gave him a thumbs up back, Naruto grinned and ran off, saying, Uzumaki Naruto is on the way. Here I come to save the day. Clang! Haku and Sasuke traded blows once more. Zabuza was slightly impressed, to say the least. So was Kakashi. Sakura, he said, moving over, stay in front of Tazuna. Sasuke'll handle the Hunter Nin. Speaking of which, Haku blocked Sasuke's kunai with a senbon. Please stand down, she said calmly. I don't want to have to kill you. When Sasuke said, Don't be foolish, Haku replied, I see, but next time, you won't be able to keep up with my speed. I have two advantages: the water on the ground, and I've occupied one of your arms. Now all you can do is run, she finished, putting her free hand into half ram. And then, she started to do seals. It shocked both Kakashi and Sasuke. What she did next was shocking, too. Sensatsu Suisho, too. When she stomped on the water on the ground, it rose up like a wall, then began to freeze. When it did so, it turned into senbon made of ice, and launched at Sasuke. Sasuke, remembering his training, concentrated his chakra to his legs, then jumped skyward, avoiding every single shot. He then fired shuriken at Haku, who jumped backwards to dodge them. He reappeared behind, and said to her, You're pretty slow, and from now on, you're the runner. Raining blow after blow, he had Haku on the defensive. Zabuza couldn't believe that his loyal subordinate was losing a battle of speed. Kakashi told him so too. I can't have you underestimating my team. Now Sasuke's the #1 rookie in Konoha, Sakura's one of the brightest, and Naruto is the #1 unpredictable shinobi. Zabuza started to chuckle. Haku, at this rate, will be driven back. I agree, she said, putting her hands in a strange seal. We can't have that now, can we? Sasuke noticed the chill first, then he saw the water on the ground rise up and form into large, rectangular tiles. Then he heard Maku House Ho 3. What the hell is this? He muttered. Haku stepped into one of the tiles, and she appeared in all of them. Well? She asked. Shall I begin? Sasuke cursed. He saw Kakashi run toward them, and saw Zabuza block his path. What's with these mirrors? He asked himself, then he heard Haku's voice say, Time to show you my true speed. Sasuke then found himself riddled with senbon. Sakura, trying to help out, threw a kunai at Haku, who reached out of a mirror and caught it. A shuriken caught her eye, and she saw it cut part of Haku's mask when said Hunter Nin saw it too late. What? She began, then saw the answer on the outside of the dome of mirrors. A blast of smoke, and Naruto stood before them, his hands raised like Zabuza's as if performing the hidden mist technique. There's no need to fear, he said grinning. Uzumaki Naruto is here. We all know what happened here. Naruto tries to help Sasuke, Kakashi stuck fighting Zabuza, Haku revealing the Hayatan Kekai Genkai, and Naruto and Sasuke being turned into Pinka Saiyans by a reluctant Haku. Now let's get down to business. Sharingan? Haku whispered upon seeing Sasuke's eyes. I see, she said out loud. You have a Kekai Genkai as well. Don't forget me, said Naruto as he activated Kangchi, knowing full well that it was pretty pointless to keep it hidden during this fight. Two Kekai Genkai? She whispered. Now things were getting out of hand. Zabuza thought so too. So I was right, he muttered. That Uzumaki brat is a member of that clan. Kakashi stood in front of Tazuna. You sound like you've seen those eyes before, he said, both of his eyes on Zabuza. Yeah, said Zabuza, remembering that dark day. It was part of the reason why he had tried to assassinate the Sandaime Mizukage. Long story short, I was forced to kill a clanmate of his, one that needn't die. Kakashi narrowed his eyes. So, Naruto's clan had originated in Mizuno-kuni, but had migrated to Konoha at some point between the reigns of Sandaime Hokage and Sandaime Mizukage. Enough sentimentality, said the Nuke Nin, brandishing his sword. Time to die, Kakashi. I can't die yet, said Kakashi. And neither will my students. Naruto's the last of his clan, and so is Sasuke the last of one of Konoha's best. You mean? Yep, Uchiha Sasuke is his name. A shinobi genius, with the blood of the Uchiha coursing through his veins. An offspring of that tragic clan, muttered Zabuza. The same with Uzumaki. Meanwhile, Haku had been firing more senbon at the two. Sasuke had taken most of the damage, and Naruto was at the end of his ropes. I wish I could do something, he shouted in his mind, and then he felt his eyes burn. It caused him to falter, and Haki used that chance to attack. She fired some more, and Sasuke took the blow. Why did you take that? Asked Naruto, shocked by the fact that Sasuke did this. BFT, said Sasuke, smirking slightly as blood leaked from his mouth. I hated your guts, but my body moved on its own. He collapsed, and Naruto caught him. That man, sputtered Sasuke, as his eyes began to close. That man, I swore to kill my brother. I told myself that I wouldn't die. He winced as Naruto pulled out the Senbon from his neck. You're not dying, said Naruto, his eyes now a shimmering white with 3 black triangles. No one's dying, if I have my way. Haka took this moment to merge with her mirror, but Naruto glanced at her, and uttered a single word, Ranzatsu 4. Haku suddenly found herself disoriented, and she clutched her head. She felt a pulse in her head, and dropped to her knees. She lost all sense of balance, and she felt the blood rushing through her ears, the sounds of footsteps, the shattering of her mirrors, all was a cacophony of confusion. She suddenly found herself clear, and looked up to see that Naruto had taken her mask. What? She asked, confused by how he wasn't doing anything. Tomo no Rinnegan, Kanmei, said Naruto, his shimmering white eyes turning back to his sapphire orbs. The third Tomo of my Kekai Genkai Kanmei, confusion. Haku sat there on her knees. Why didn't you kill me? She asked. Like I said, Naruto, no one's dying if I could have my way. You didn't kill Sasuke, so I didn't kill you. He motioned to his unconscious teammate. Sasuke. Haku was silent, but then she stood, her head bowed. You don't understand now. You have taken away my reason for living. Zabuza-sama has no need for weak shinobi, or a defective tool. You're not a tool, snapped Naruto. What makes him so special anyway? Haku bowed her head, and told Naruto of her history. She explained how in Mizu no Kuni, those with bloodlines were seen as monsters and tools, and civil wars in Mizu no Kuni had resulted in the deaths of nearly all the Kekai Genkai users in Mizu no Kuni. My mother was one of them, she said, her eyes vacant. And when my father found out, he killed her, and then tried to kill me, but I killed him. Then Zabuza found you, finished Naruto, his gaze saddened. Her life was somewhat like his, unwanted, and alone. Hi, said Haku. He took me as his own, and trained me to be his perfect tool. But now, she trailed off, looking to the side. Zabuza-sama has no need for a defective tool, so please kill me, Naruto-kun. Over with Zabuza and Kakashi. Kakashi had taken a scroll from his pouch, opened it, smeared blood on it from a wound on his chest, and closed it, holding it in his hands. Get ready, Zabuza, he said, as he did 4 seals. Tiger, boar, dragon, dog. He then slammed the scroll into the ground, and muttered Kuchios, Doton, Tsuga no Jutsu 5. Around Zabuza, 8 dogs leapt out of the ground and latched onto him, holding the Nukenin in place. Those are my Niken, said Kakashi. Their sense of smell exceeds that of normal dogs. They track my blood on your body, and now you're stuck. As I said last time, your future is death. PFT, said Zabuza, glaring at Kakashi. Cut the bullshit. Kakashi snorted. You can't do a damn thing now. I heard what happened with you. That bit you mentioned about Naruto's clan gave off some insight, but still a coup d'etat against the Mizukage? With that, Kakashi performed the seals for his original jutsu. Ox hair monkey at monkey, he grabbed his wrist, and lightning began to form. Raikiri. What? Thought Zabuza, now a little unsettled. Enough chakra is visible around his hand. Kakashi faced Zabuza. You're a dangerous man. Your ideals sacrifice others for your gain. I'll ask you once more, surrender. Do your worst, spat Zabuza. Haku saw the light, and performed a single-handed seal. Sorry, Naruto-kun, she said to the startled Naruto. But Zabuza-sama needs me. With that, she disappeared into a mirror. Naruto muttered, Tomo no Rinnegan, Kanetsu and I. Instantly, he could see all chakra, and he saw the ball of lightning in Kakashi's hand. Kyuso! He cursed, his body moving faster before he could think. Haku's trying to intercept it. Kakashi rushed at Zabuza, but he saw a dark shape appear before him. Too late to pull back, he surged forward, thrusting his lightning-engulfed hand at Zabuza. In a splash of blood, he saw with horror what he actually hit, as did Sakura, who covered her mouth in horror. Haku had reached Zabuza in time, but Naruto had shoved her out of the way, and taken the Raikiri in the shoulder. Wawa. Kakashi tried to get out the words, but Naruto grinned, despite the pain he was in. I couldn't let her die, he said, as Kakashi pulled his trembling hand free from his student. Heh, said Zabuza, amazed by Naruto's tenacity. Saved by my enemy's student all for a defective tool? Naruto, clutching his profusely bleeding shoulder, let his healing factor take over and glared at Zabuza with, for the first time, red eyes with slitted pupils. Don't you call her that, he said, his whiskers growing more pronounced. What is he, thought Haku. Zabuza decided that, unknown factors or not, Uzumaki and Kakashi were going to die. He swiped at the two with his sword, but Kakashi reacted faster. Mad at himself for injuring his own student, he brutally jabbed kunai into Zabuza's arms, rendering them useless. Even so, Zabuza tried to fight back, but Kakashi held a kunai to the injured Nukenin's throat. You can't beat me, Zabuza. I was a former ANBU captain, and you're in no shape to take me on. Well, came a familiar voice. It was Gato, and he had brought just about all of his henchmen. Looks like you're getting your ass kicked, Zabuza. Gato, growled Zabuza, in no mood for this. What do you want? And what's with those men? Sakura, who had brought the now conscious Sasuke over, tended to Naruto and Haku. What's going on? She asked. Haku grimaced. It's our employer, she said wearily, tired from using her chakra. He chuckled Gato. The plans changed. At first I wasn't going to pay you, and let the hunter Nin from Kirigakure know where you were. Zabuza grimaced. He knew this wasn't going to end well. But then I saw this fight, and thought that it'd be better to kill off you guys, and give the girls to my men as part of a job well done. Sakura gasped, and latched onto Naruto in fright. Haku lifted herself to her feet, and glared at the short man who dared to betray them, as the rowdy group of men behind Gato leered at the girls. Gato saw her, and grinned evilly. Actually, as punishment for breaking my arm, my men can have you as their little toy, and I'll keep the pink-haired one after all. It's not every day that you find a girl with natural pink hair. I find it exotic. Naruto, at this point, had had enough. He drew out two kunai, both with exploding tags, and threw them at Gato. Due to his still recovering injuries, he missed and hit some of the men instead, the explosion killing them. I think you'll be deader faster than you can say, Shinigami, he roared. I think so too, said Zabuza, his eyes filled with rage. Kid, give me a kunai. Sakura tossed him a kunai, due to Naruto being unable to at the moment, and Zabuza loosened his mouth bandages, catching it with his teeth. Sayonara, Haku, said Zabuza, and ignoring Haku's calls for him to stop, he rushed towards his opponents. Gato saw him coming and ran behind the ranks of his men, ordering them to kill him. They responded enthusiastically, but as Zabuza approached, they saw his aura surrounding him. A true demon, said one, and Zabuza began to cut through them. Gato was sure that Zabuza was dead, but Zabuza proved him wrong. He appeared before Gato, sword sticking out of his back, and stabbed the short man with the kunai. Some of Gato's men stabbed him more in the back, but Zabuza was single-minded in his mission. Hope you like the heat, he said, his eyes now shining with madness, because where you and I are going, it's gonna be hot. With that, he severed Gato's head from his body. His mission done, he fell to the ground, his wounds kicking in at last. Gato's men stood around the dying Nukenin, then turned to Team 7 and Haku. You guys are dead, one shouted. Ransack the village, yelled one, and another yelled take anything of value, starting with those girls. Naruto, Kakashi, and Sasuke were on their feet, facing the oncoming hordes. Damn, cursed Sasuke, still aching from his wounds. Can't you do anything? He yelled to Naruto and Kakashi. I'm nearly done, Kakashi shot back. Same here, said Naruto, pulling out kunai. But I'm not going down without a fight. They can have Sakura-chan and Haku-chan over my dead body. Despite the situation, Haku blushed slightly, but she and the others were caught by surprise when an arrow landed in front of the gang of henchmen. If you come on our island, shouted Inari, at the head of a group of vengeful villagers, we'll stop you with everything we've got. At this point, Naruto grinned and did the only thing he could. Kage Bunshin no Jutsu. 10 Narutos flickered into existence, and Kakashi did the same as well, creating 20 Kakashis. As a final kicker, Sakura put her hands into the cross-shaped seal, and shouted, Kage Bunshin no Jutsu. 5 Sakuras flickered into existence. This was too much for the henchmen, and they took off, screaming and piling onto Gata's boat, to the joy of the villagers. We did it! They shouted. As the Kage Bunshins poofed out of existence, Kakashi turned to Naruto. First, I'm sorry about the Raikiri to your shoulder, you need to be checked out and… It's okay, sensei, said Naruto grinning. I had a feeling it might happen. Kakashi nodded, not sure if he should still check over Naruto. The Kyuubi seems to have healed him, he thought. Second thing, why did you teach Sakura a Kenjutsu? Naruto was saved from answering by Haku's cry of Zabuza-sama. Haku fell to her knees beside the dying Zabuza, and let her tears stream down. Zabuza-sama. Zabuza wearily looked up. Haku, you've become a fine shinobi and a fine young woman coughing up blood. He knew his time was short. You don't need me anymore, grow up strong, go with the Uzumaki kid, he seems decent enough. Haku sniffled and nodded. When Zabuza called over Naruto, he came over. Kid, you did good, I can see that Haku's in good hands now, you make her cry though, and I'll come back from the dead all for the express purpose of kicking your ass. Zabuza coughed up more blood, and he knew his end was near. Kid, I want you to have my sword. Naruto was shocked. But it's your mark. And I'm giving it to you, said Zabuza, closing his eyes. Think of it as a parting gift for one asking for one seeking atonement. Zabuza felt himself grow cold, and whispered in his mind, Kage-chan, I hope to see you once more. As he whispered out Kage-chan, Momochi Zabuza, former member of the Seven Swordsmen of the Mist, Nuke-nin of Kirigakure, and nicknamed Demon of the Mist, passed from this world into the next world. As it began to snow, Haku sobbed into her master's lifeless chest, crying his name over and over. Naruto knelt down from behind, and put a reassuring hand on her shoulder. Haku turned around and sobbed into his shoulder, and Naruto gently rubbed his hand up and down her back. 2 weeks later, after giving Zabuza a formal burial, Team 7 plus Haku departed Nami no Kuni, with the bridge completed. As the 4 shinobi left, Tazuna realized what he'd call the bridge. In honor of the boy who gave us back our hearts and our courage, we'll call this super special awesome bridge the Ultimate Ninja Bridge. Grandpa, said Inari as they walked back, that's a good name, but could you please stop saying super special awesome? It's starting to scare me. I won't make any promises. An indeterminate time later. Naruto woke up, feeling Haku's reassuring body pressed against his. It had been roughly a week since they had returned from Nami no Kuni. Haku had been accepted by Sandaime as a Konoha shinobi, since she wasn't actually a Nuke-nin to begin with. Haku now lived with him, as she had nowhere else to go, and he had plenty of room. Currently, she was a Chunin, and registered as a medic nin in training. Naruto got up, and kissed Haku's cheek. She moaned and smiled in her sleep. Contrary to what he did with Sakura-chan and Hinata-chan, he hadn't taken her yet, as he wanted her to finish grieving over her former master's death. But he had taken her and Sakura to meet Hinata, and Hinata was more or less pleased with his choices. Granted, she was doubtful of Sakura-chan, but Naruto was able to vouch for her, and Hinata accepted her. Naruto finished dressing, and looked at the latest addition to his arsenal. Kubikiri Hocho, Zabuza's sword, was now officially his. Naruto sealed it into a scroll marked Kiri no Ken, because it was currently too heavy for him to carry, and it drew too much attention. Pulling on his giant scroll and leaving his compound, he made his way to the team meeting place. When he got there, he saw Sasuke leaning against the railing, looking as bored as hell. Hell, I'll be bored too after that mission, thought Naruto, as he sat on the railing. Sakura-chan wasn't there, and he wondered what she was doing. Naruto-kun! He heard Sakura saw, and he turned his head to greet her. The words never got out, because he was now gaped at what she was wearing. Sakura had her one-piece dress open, revealing a black cloth that both adequately covered and supported her well-formed biceps, which was held up by a strap that went over her left shoulder. Below the cloth was netting that went down below her belly button, nearly touching her black shorts, and as a final touch, she had an obi belt going around her midsection. So her dress wouldn't flail, he assumed. He then noticed that she had some of her hair in a ponytail that went down past her shoulder blades. Damn, he swore, tilting his head. You look great, Sakura-chan. Sakura blushed slightly and kissed his cheek. Naruto could register Sasuke giving Sakura a look over, and slightly narrowed his eyes. Oh, hell no, he muttered, wrapping an arm around his Sakura-chan. Sasuke snorted and looked the other way, figuring that was just an attempt by Sakura to make him jealous. A full 2 hours passed before Kakashi appeared. Kakashi gazed at Sakura for a moment, thinking to himself, she looks like a kunoichi from a certain manga now, then turned to face his team as a whole. Yo! You're late! Yelled Naruto and Sakura. Sorry, I had stomach trouble, he said, telling the truth for once. Naruto and Sakura decided to leave that one alone. Good news, everyone. I have a meeting to attend, so you're free for the rest of the day. And with a puff of smoke, he was gone. Sasuke walked off, presumably to do his own thing, and Naruto and Sakura were left there. That was a waste of time, said Naruto, as he held out his hand to Sakura. Shall we go wander? Yes, let's, she answered, and the two of them walked off. Later found them walking along towards an undisclosed location, when Sakura spotted a square rock following them. Naruto-kun, she said, pulling his sleeve. There's a square rock following us. Naruto almost cried. If we pretend it's not there, it'll go away. This philosophy seemed fine, but the square rock still followed them. Sighing, Naruto turned around and crossed his arms. When is a rock ever a perfect square, Konohamaru? As soon as he said that, the rock blew apart, revealing 3 children. Konohamaru was one of them, and he was accompanied by a boy with glasses, a nose dripping, and a long-sleeved sweater, and a ginger-haired girl with a permanent blush and her hair pulled back in pigtails. Konohamaru, said the Sandame's grandson, getting into a stance. The ginger-haired girl got into a stance as well, and said Moegi. The glasses kid said Udan. And as one, the 3 kids yelled, together we are the Konohamaru Corps. Naruto and Sakura gazed at the 3, shocked at their antics. It feels I'm dying inside, whispered Naruto to Sakura. Don't look directly at them, Naruto-kun, Sakura whispered back. Hey Taicho, said Konohamaru, pointing at Naruto. You said you'd play ninja with us today. Please? Naruto, resigned to his fate, sighed. Okay, but not for long, he said. Konohamaru did a little victory dance, which made Naruto and Sakura sweat drop. Then, it was as if Konohamaru saw Sakura for the first time. Hey Taicho, who's that babe? Grinning, he held up his pinky. Is she your this? Naruto nodded, gladly leaving out that his Sakura-chan was one of 3, potentially more. Naruto's eyes went wide at what Konohamaru said next. Nice job Taicho, you could do better with her than that flat-chested big forehead teammate of yours. Naruto paled glanced at Sakura-chan. She was smiling sweetly, a little too sweetly, while reaching behind her back. Konohamaru, he said, inching away. Start running. That's Sakura-chan. Konohamaru paled, realizing that the girl he insulted was right in front of him. He took off, Moegi and Udan falling behind him. He knew the rage of girls was insatiable, and he knew he was as good as dead, Sandame's grandson or not. His thoughts were halted as he ran into a wall. Wait, it wasn't a wall, it was some guy dressed in a black outfit with a red and yellow symbol on front, a strange object on his back wrapped in bandages, strange purple marking on his face, and a cat-like headpiece that bore the Hittite of Sunagakure. Next to the guy was a girl with a fan on her back, her blonde hair pulled back in 4 ponytails, and a bored look on her face. The shinobi Konohamaru ran into, now dubbed Batman by Naruto, picked up Konohamaru by the front of his scarf, and growled out, "That hurt, you little shit." "Don't," said his blonde teammate, looking around. "We'll get in trouble." "Damn straight," said Naruto, stepping forward. Batman glanced at Naruto, and then saw Sakura. Opening one eye wide, he grinned. "Hey, foxy lady, care to dine?" "Ugh," went his teammate, rubbing her head. Her brother was a sucker for a pretty girl. Naruto stood in front of Sakura, baring his fangs. "Back off, Batman, she's taken." Temari, the blonde, tilted her head. "That blonde's kinda cute, in a feral sort of way." Naruto ran at Kankuro, the one in black, and suddenly tripped. "Leaf Genin," said Kankuro, grinning, "are weak?" He suddenly found a large blade at his neck, and he looked down to see the blonde holding a massive sword at his throat. "You need to pay attention," said Naruto. "And I can see that you're a puppet user." Kankuro blanched, as did Temari, when they saw Naruto. And they saw the Naruto on the ground poof into smoke. Temari found herself being touched from behind, and turned to see the blonde that had the sword in front of Kankuro behind her. As the sword-wielding blonde disappeared, the one behind her wrapped an arm around her stomach. "Na, Sakura-chan," he said, grinning at Temari. "What do you think?" From the other side, Temari found Sakura running her fingers over her front, and reddened. "I think I like her, and Hinata-chan might as well," said Sakura, smiling warmly at Temari. Temari was in a quandary. She hadn't even been in the village a day and found herself being hit on by a mysterious blonde, and a pink-haired girl who was obviously his girlfriend, well, one of 2, from the way it sounded. Kankuro was not impressed. "Get away from my sister," he growled, dropping Konohamaru and reaching to pull off one of the straps on his shoulder. "I can assume you know why you're all here," said Sandame to the jounin assembled before him. "It's that time already," commented Kakashi, as a bandana-wearing senbon-chewing jounin behind him said. "It's already been reported to the other countries. I saw them in the village." "So when is it?" "Roughly a week," said Sandame. "So it's official. 7 days from now, on the first day of the 7th moon, July, probably, the Chunin exams will commence." With a low thump, Kankuro grabbed his wrist, feeling pain. Looking in the direction it came from, he saw Uchiha Sasuke sitting on a tree branch, juggling 2 rocks with one hand. What the hell are you Sunanin doing in our village? He asked stonily. He's kinda cute, thought Temari to herself. But why do I feel some sort of pull to this one, she thought, glancing back at Naruto. Another guy who pisses me off, growled Kankuro, massaging his hurting wrist. Get lost, said Sasuke, staring impassively as Kankuro pulled off the package on his back, ignoring the warnings of his sister. Sasuke stiffened as he heard a voice behind him say, Kankuro, stop. You're an embarrassment to our village. Sasuke spun around to see another Sunanin standing upside down. But this Sunanin had an immense gourd on his back, dark red hair, black rings around his eyes, and a tattoo of the kanji AI right above his left eye. Naruto instinctively stood in front of Sakura defensively, his whiskers pronounced, his eyes light blue with slitted pupils, and fangs lightly bared. He didn't know why or how he did it, he just knew on instinct that the redhead that smelled of tanuki was a threat to him and his present mate. Sakura was caught by surprise by both Naruto and the red-haired Sunanin. What she began, but decided against saying anything else. Losing yourself in a fight, how pathetic, droned the redhead, gazing impassively at his teammate. Why do you think we're here in the first place? Listen, Gaara, began Kankuro, fearful for his life and pointing at the Konohamaru core. They started it, and… Silence, said Gaara, narrowing his eyes. Or I'll kill you. Sorry, Gaara, said Kankuro, now holding up his hands in passiveness. So he's the leader, thought Sasuke, watching Gaara as he's got strange eyes. Sorry to you guys, said Gaara, disappearing in a flurry of sand and reappearing in between his teammates. Naruto moved so that Sakura was still behind him and faced the Sunanin. Why are you here? He asked bluntly. The only reason I can think of is to improve alliances. Nearly correct, said Temari. We're here for the Chunin exams. Sasuke appeared next to Naruto and stepped forward. You with the gourd, what is your name? Sabaku no Gaara, at your service, answered Gaara. I am interested in both you and your teammates' names as well. Uchiha Sasuke. Uzumaki Naruto. Gaara stared impassively at Team 7 and then muttered, let's go. Before the Sunanin left, Naruto stepped forward and asked, what is your female teammate's name? Temari blushed and answered, Temari. Naruto bowed, and the three Sunanin leapt off. Team 7 then went their own way, unaware of another trio of watchers, 2 guys and 1 girl, all wearing BDU-style scarves and pants. What do you think? Asked the spiky-haired male. His male teammate, wearing an oversized kimono top with his head wrapped by bandages except for his left eye, responded, nothing serious but that kid with the gourd, and those 2 male Konohanin that just left, we'd better keep an eye on them. He gazed at Sakura, who had wrapped her arm around Naruto's waist, and tilted his head. Scratch that, watch all 3 of those Konohanin. The next morning, Kakashi appeared roughly 2 hours late at Team 7's bridge. Morning all, he said enthusiastically. When Naruto and Sakura yelled out that he was late, he chuckled and said, sorry, I got lost on the road of life. Anyway, this may seem a bit sudden, but I've nominated the 3 of you for the Chunin exams. Holding out 3 papers, he said, these are your applications. This is just a nomination though, so whether or not you want to take the exam is up to you. We'll take it, said Naruto and Sakura at the same time. Sasuke nodded in agreement, and said there's gonna be a lot of strong guys there. Kakashi's eye smiled and he said, good for you. Now all you have to do is sign those papers and turn them in at room 301 by 4 p.m. tomorrow. Ja-ni. And in the blink of an eye and a puff of smoke, Kakashi was gone. The next day, Team 7 met up at the academy and filed in. When they got inside, they saw a commotion at the entrance of room 301. 2 genin were blocking the way, and they had kicked around 2 genin already. It's not worth it, said the squinty-eyed one with the spiky hair and giant kunai. We've failed the Chunin exams 3 times in a row, so we're doing you all a favor. Naruto rolled his eyes, and Sakura whispered in his ear that they were on the wrong floor. So, Naruto gently grabbed Sakura by the hand and began to slip away, when Sasuke said, I appreciate your kindness but please move. I'm going to the 3rd floor, so I need you to drop the genjutsu. Naruto winced. If Sasuke had kept his mouth shut, then there'd be a whole lot less competition. Naruto himself was feeling a bit antsy now, so he wanted to get out of there immediately. The second of the 2 genin, one with a Konoha bandana, smirked and said, you noticed, huh? Sasuke smirked. Sakura noticed it first, since she's the genjutsu specialist on our team. Sakura winced. Sasuke was obviously trying to get back in her good graces while dragging her into his mess at the same time. Resigned, she put on a smile and said, I knew it the moment we walked in because this is the 2nd floor. As the genjutsu disappeared, revealing room 301 to be room 201, the spiky-haired genin chuckled and launched into a roundhouse kick. Sasuke responded in kind, but the two of them were stopped by a genin in a green leotard and orange leg warmers. Fast, said Naruto, his eyes wider. The genin approached Sakura, who instinctively grabbed Naruto's sleeve. Hi, he said. I'm Rock Lee, let's go out together. I'll protect you with my life. He punctuated his proclamation with a wink and a thumbs up. Naruto barely suppressed his gag reflex. If the green leotard wasn't bad enough, then Lee's eyebrows and hairstyle was complete overkill. Sakura squeaked and hid behind Naruto, where she said, Gomen, I'm taken. While Lee dropped his head in dismay, his teammate, a boy with long hair and a ponytail, bandages on his left arm and leg, and the same color eyes as Hinata, walked up to Sasuke and said, What is your name? Naruto went into his defensive state, and walked past Hyuga Neji, the one who approached Sasuke, grabbing Sasuke before he could answer. Let's go, emo boy, he said. You can play with your new friends later. Naruto, let me go before I hurt you, growled Sasuke. I've been threatened by bigger and scarier people, Sasuke team, retorted Naruto, as he discreetly looked behind him. The female teammate of the Hyuga and Rock Lee was gazing at him, with a bit of a blush on her face. She smells of metal, he thought. A weapons expert, maybe? Naruto-kun, asked Sakura, once they were far away enough, why did you grow feral at that Hyuga guy, and the Sunanin, and not at Lee? Lee's too good-natured and somewhat innocent, said Naruto, being sincere. That Kankuro and that Hyuga guy are dangerous though, and I see them as threats. The same with Gaara. Speaking of Lee, he had followed them. Naruto-san, he said, adopting a defensive stance, I wish to fight you. Naruto gazed at him impassively, then turned around and started to walk away, Sakura following him. That'd ruin the surprise, fuzzy brows, Naruto threw over his shoulder. When the time comes, I will, but not now. Sasuke stepped up and said, I'll take you on then. Lee turned to him and said, It's common courtesy to give your own name first. Sasuke nodded, understanding. Uchiha Sasuke. Okay, said Lee, adopting an offensive stance. I've wanted to test my techniques against an Uchiha. Plus he trailed off, looking at Sakura. Naruto stood in front of Sakura and went, No. But. No. Sasuke interrupted this tirade, and said, knowingly challenging me frankly, I think you're a fool. And you're about to realize what it means to challenge me. Sasuke ran at him, but Lee seemingly disappeared. He came out of nowhere and yelled, Konoha Senpu. Long story short, even with his Sharingan, Sasuke got his ass kicked by Lee, who revealed that he was a taijutsu user, and Sasuke's Sharingan was useless against him. He was apparently about to launch a special attack when he was attached to the wall by his bandages by a pinwheel out of nowhere. That's enough, Lee, said a talking turtle with a Hittite around its neck. Lee abandoned Sasuke, who fell and hit the ground. He was on his feet in seconds, and Lee landed like a cat in front of the talking turtle. What the hell is going on? Asked Naruto, truly confused. I think that talking turtle, said Sakura staring, is Lee-san's sensei. The turtle had been saying that Lee should have known better than showing off techniques, and then asked if Lee was ready to face judgment. When Lee nodded sadly, the turtle yelled, Then here comes Mato Guy. In a puff of smoke, a man appeared on the turtle. The man looked like an older version of Lee. From the red Hittite around his waist to the green leotard, they even had the same hairstyle and eyebrows. The only difference was the joun and vest the bigger Lee clone had. You guys are the epitome of youth, he yelled enthusiastically. Naruto covered Sakura's eyes and his mouth. Why is this happening to us? He asked. First fuzzy brows and now super fuzzy brows. In the meantime, Guy had punched Lee, then pulled him up and hugged him, tears streaming. Lee, this is what youth is all about. Hi, Guy-sensei. Lee. Gi-sensei. Lee. Gi-sensei. Lee. Gi-sensei. Lee. Leaving, muttered Naruto as he, Sakura, and Sasuke snuck away from the traumatizing image. They arrived at room 301, and Kakashi was there to see them in. Good work, Team 7. The Chunin exam lies just beyond these doors. Good luck, and take care. Hi, said Naruto, Sakura to his left and Sasuke to his right. Let's go. What the? The room was packed with genin, many of them older than Team 7. Sasuke-kun, came a familiar voice, and Sasuke found a joyful Ino hugging him, much to his chagrin. Naruto squinted and said, Hey, I need my teammate, Ino-chan. Ino glared at Naruto, who tilted his head innocently. He looked so innocent, and with his new look Ino reddened slightly and looked away. Shikamaru and Chuji choose to arrive at that moment. You guys are in this too? Mendoka's Chuji just kept eating his chips, and Shikamaru raised an eyebrow at Sakura's outfit. Why are you wearing that? Sakura crossed her arms and said, because I feel like it. But she had noticed the looks that the males in the room were giving her, and moved closer to her Naruto-kun. What's crackin', homies? Came a familiar voice. Naruto winced and said, Kiba, never say that again. Kiba had shown up, accompanied by Shino and Hinata. Naruto grinned at what Hinata wore. Hinata still kept her original pants, but she was wearing a dark gray kimono top held in place by a dark red obi, and a navy blue kimono coat with the kanji 10, heaven, on the back. Hinata tilted her head innocently, and offered a small smile. Konnichiwa, Naruto-kun, Sakura-san, Sasuke-san. Kiba wrapped an arm around Hinata's shoulder, earning a wide-eyed look from Hinata and a growl from Naruto. Squinting, Kiba said, What are you growling for, fox boy? Naruto crossed his arms and glared at the dog user. You won't like me when I'm angry, dog boy, and I'm starting to get angry. Kiba snorted. And what are you gonna do? Akamaru whimpered from his spot on Kiba's head. He was doing all that could to avoid making this apparent alpha angry, and he lightly clawed Kiba's head. Kiba grabbed his head and growled, What was that for? Hinata took that time to move closer to her Naruto-kun and bowed lightly. Arigato, Naruto-kun. Kiba-san's been trying to get me to date him for a while now. Hey, could you guys keep it down? Said a voice. It turned out to be a shinobi wearing an outfit identical to Sasuke's, except his was dark purple and he had a strip of cloth around his waist, and glasses, as well as fingerless gloves. Silly rookies, I'm Kabuto, but look behind you. The genin saw a group of glaring Rainin. Naruto grinned evilly and took a step forward, when Hinata and Sakura held him back. Naruto turned to them to ask why, when he saw the look they were giving him, and he wilted. Kabuto noticed this, and chose to store it away. Those guys are Ainin, and are known to have notoriously short tempers. So quiet down, everyone's on edge and you guys are making a scene. Naruto noted that Kabuto smelled of snakes, and slowly went into his defensive state while Sakura asked, Kabuto-san, have you taken the exam before? Yes, said Kabuto. This is my 7th time, and since it's held twice a year, this is my 4th year. Damn, you suck, commented Kiba. Kabuto ignored him, and drew a pack of cards from his pouch. It's good practice, and I've managed to gather a sizable amount of info, with my Nin-info cards. Basically, they're information cards with 4 years of data burned into them. He set one on the ground and began to spin it. They don't do anything unless I add my chakra, and an image appeared. Bingo. The card now had a map on it with bar graphs on it. What's that? Asked Sasuke. It's a breakdown of this year's exam basically, the number of genin and the country they're from. Do you individual cards? Yeah, said Kabuto, putting his right hand on his 200-card deck. I've got one of everyone, even you guys. But it's not perfect. That didn't matter to Sasuke. Sabaku no Gaara from Suna, Rock Lee from Konoha, and Uzumaki Naruto of Konoha. This earned a glare at him from Naruto. Okay, he said, removing 3. Putting his chakra in them, he revealed their contents. First, Rock Lee. He's a year older than you guys, but this is his first time taking the test. He has completed 20 D-rank and 12 C-rank missions. His sensei is Mado Guy, and his teammates are Hyuga Niji and Tenten. Taijutsu is excellent, and his ninjutsu and genjutsu are virtually non-existent. Next is Sabaku no Gaara. This is his first year as well, and he has completed 8 C-rank missions and 1 B-rank. His sensei is Baki, and his teammates are Temari and Kankuro, who are incidentally his siblings as well. I don't have much info on him since he's new, but it's been said that he came back from every mission without a scratch. Naruto glanced at the Sunanin, and caught Temari gazing at him. She looked away quickly, and Naruto looked back to Kabuto as he revealed the contents of his final card. Lastly, Uzumaki Naruto. This is his first year, and he completed 25 D-rank missions and 1 B-rank. His sensei is Hatake Kakashi, and his teammates are Harino Sakura and Uchiha Sasuke, said Kabuto, reading off the information. Ninjutsu is excellent, taijutsu is average, and genjutsu is below average. Apparently, he's rumored to hold a rare Kekai Genkai and Kubikiri Hocho, but those are just rumors. What's Kubikiri Hocho? Asked Kiba, casting a sideward glance at Naruto. The sword of the A-rank Nuke Nin, Momochi Zabuza, said Kabuto cryptically. But like I said, just rumors. Even so, that didn't make the genin any more tentative of the unpredictable Naruto. Well, Hinata and Sakura were well at ease, and Ino was trying to deny anything she felt for her fellow blonde, but the males now looked at Naruto with a new light. Naruto, who was feeling more and more antsy, was pretty sure that if the test didn't start soon, a fight would break out, with him at the head. Before his accident, he would have thought it was test jitters, but now he was sure it was because of the large amount of males in the room, and he was viewing them as threats. Kabuto, on the other hand, had launched into a monologue about the shinobi villages, ending with the recent creation of Odogekure, Hidden Sound Village, stating that it was the weakest village so far. The Otonin team didn't take that too well. They launched into action, the mini Kakashi throwing kunai to catch Kabuto off guard, and the mummy swiped at him with his right arm, with said arm wielding a strange device. Kabuto dodged it, but as he landed, his glasses broke. "So that's how it is," he muttered, taking them off. Suddenly, he fell to the ground, and lost his lunch. This caught the nearest Konohanin by surprise, because they knew he wasn't hit. Naruto winced at the ringing in his ears, but he was happy that there was a fight started, because it had calmed him down, if only slightly. He looked over the Otonin team. The apparent leader was the mummy, who had a hairy thing on his back. To his right was the mini Kakashi, who wore a shirt that had the kanji "sure," death, on it 3 times, and side guards. To the leader's left was a lovely female, with a gunmetal gray vest and long black hair with a purple bow near the end. Naruto tilted his head at the female Otonin, who was glaring at Kabuto. She caught his eyes and stared at him, before looking away with a hint of a blush. "Sound," he muttered, referencing to Mummy Man's attack. "Write this on your cards," said the mini Kakashi. "The Otonin Dosu, Zaku, and Kin will definitely be Chunins." "Quiet down, you worthless bastards!" yelled a gruff voice from the front as a puff of smoke appeared. When the smoke cleared, the proctors had appeared, led by a certain trenchcoat-wearing Scar Tokubetsu Jounin with a bandana. "Thanks for waiting," said Scarface grimly. "Welcome to the Chunin selection exams. I'm your host, Marino Ibiki." The genin up front looked ready to wet themselves. They flinched when Ibiki pointed to the back. "You! Otonin! Cut that shit out, do you want to be disqualified before the exam even starts?" "Sorry," said Dosu, the mummy man. "This is our first time here, and we got carried away." Ibiki snorted and cast his attention to everyone else. "All right, let me make this clear to everyone. There will be no fighting without the examiner's permission. If fighting is allowed, killing will not be tolerated. Those who disobey will be put down. Am I clear?" His glare left no room for opposition. Naruto grinned. This guy was dangerous, and Naruto was slightly on edge, but he was starting to like this guy, this Marino Ibiki. "Okay, we'll start test 1 of the Chunin selection exams. Instead of your current arrangements, we'll give you a tab with a number on it, and you'll go to the matching seat. We will then hand out the written exam." And that possible acknowledgement went down the crapper. Naruto cursed lowly. He completely sucked at written tests, and they throw this out? He was going to be mad for the rest of this exam. A few moments later, Naruto sat in his seat, highly on edge. There were guys all around him, and his Sakura-chan and Hinata-chan were nowhere to be found. Then he smelled a familiar scent, and he calmed slightly. "Kan, Hinata-chan." Hinata tilted her head. "Kan?" Naruto grinned. "I shortened Kanichi-wa into the first 3 letters, Kan." Hinata giggled. "You are aware that Kan is the sound foxes make, any?" Naruto's smile turned into a scowl. A certain fox was the cause of his trouble. Shaking that thought aside, he told her, "I think we may have 4 more potential Zeno-chan, Tenten-chan, Temari-chan from Suna, and Kin-chan from Oto." Hinata furrowed her brow. "Ino-chan I can see, but why the other 3? Tenten-chan seems to be a weapons expert, and Temari-chan looks like a wind user, judging by her fan. That, and it could help relations between Suna and Konoha. Kin-chan I think she wants to get out of Oto." During this, Ibiki had been laying out the rules of the written exam, and the point system. A point will be deducted for each wrong question. That is the first rule. The second rule is that this is a team test. Whether you pass or fail will be determined by the final score of your teammates. The optimum is 30 points. The third rule is that if anyone is caught cheating by the examiners, then the offender will lose 2 points. Any who lose all their points will have to leave the exam. "So, we all just have to keep our points," muttered Sakura, casting a quick glance at Naruto. "Naruto-kun might not do well, but we can still cover for him." Ibiki grinned evilly. "The fourth and final rule is this: anyone who loses all their points, whether by being caught cheating 5 times or getting every question wrong, will fail and their teammates will fail with them." Naruto winced. He knew that he wasn't book smart, but he was at least smarter than the average genin. There had to be a catch to all this, a way to avoid getting all questions wrong and losing the exam. The exam will last for 1 hour. Turn over your tests and begin. As one, the genin in the room turned over their papers. Sakura immediately knew that Naruto wouldn't pass the test, more than likely. Naruto, on the other hand, knew some of the material, but the rest he had now reaffirmed his hatred for paperwork. Damnable proctor, he muttered under his breath. It was a while before Sasuke picked up the secret to the exam. This isn't about our intelligence, he thought. It's about our information-gathering skills. They're trying to see how well we can cheat without getting caught. And they're marking down all those caught, to separate the worst from the best. Soon, it became apparent that everyone had figured this out. Kiba was using Akamaru to spy on the students around him, Shino was using insects to see the other tests, and Tenten was cheating for herself and Lee, through use of mirrors and wires. Dosu followed the sounds of a specific pencil strokes on the paper, on the wood, to reproduce the answers on his sheet. Niji used his Byakugan to see through bodies and see the papers, and Sasuke used his Sharingan to copy an examinee's movements. Naruto rubbed his head, thinking about what to do, when a kunai sped past him and embedded into the paper of the genin behind him. "Oh my god, kunai!" gasped the genin. "You fail," said Kotetsu, the bandage-faced proctor. "Take your teammates and get the hell out." When the team left, Naruto picked up on what they were supposed to do. "Hinata-chan," he whispered, "the point of this is to cheat without getting caught." Hinata cast her eyes sideward, confused. "Are you sure?" "Hi. That's what Scarface meant by be proud shinobi and don't let us catch you cheating." With that, he muttered, "Tomo no Rinnegan, Kangchi-san." Now he was able to see through the examinee in front of him and see his paper. "The best of luck," he whispered to Hinata, and then went to work. Pretty soon, teams left and right were being kicked out. Finally, when it came down to it, roughly half the teams were left. Ibiki smirked. "Looks like the weaklings have been weeded out. It's time." "All right, it's time for the 10th question. But before I ask it, I'd like to lay down a few quick rules." Naruto groaned. More rules, he thought. These are the rules of desperation. "I'm bored," said Kakashi. "Hush, Kakashi," said Asuma, taking a drag from his cigarette. "Things will get exciting." "First thing, Asuma," said Kakashi, "never tell me to hush again." "Second thing, why?" "I heard that Ibiki's in charge of the exam." Kakashi's spirit was lifted, but he felt sorry for his team at the same time, though. That sadistic bastard. "What are you guys talking about?" asked Kurenai, leaning to one side. "Kurenai, you're new, so you haven't heard of him," said Asuma, an evil grin forming on his face. "Marino Ibiki is a Tokubetsu jounin that's in charge of the ANBU torture/interrogation force, and he's a damn good one, too. He's so sadistic, those genin will probably have a mental breakdown by the end of the first exam." "Asuma, you know smoking kills," said Kakashi, changing the subject. "Silly Kakashi, I'm a shinobi and shinobi don't die from smoking." "First, you all are gonna choose whether or not you wish to take the final question," said Ibiki, glaring at the genin. This got everyone's attention. Tamari yelled out, "Choose? So what happens if we choose not to take the 10th question?" Answering her question, Ibiki replied, "If you choose to not take the question, you'll lose all your points. In other words, you fail." Grinning, he added, "And when you fail, your teammates will fail with you." There were cries of indignation, and someone yelled out, "Horseshit. Of course we'll take the final question." Ibiki closed his eyes, and continued on. "And that goes with the other rule. If you choose to take it, and get the question wrong," here he opened his eyes, "you'll be banned from the Chunin exam for the rest of your natural lives." At this point, Kiba rose up and pointed a finger at Ibiki, saying, "What kind of bull is that? There are people here who took the Chunin exam before." Akamaru added a bark for emphasis. Ibiki chuckled. "You were unlucky this year. I am the proctor. And as such, your shinobi careers are in my cruel, unfeeling hands. That's why I gave you the option of quitting." At this, Kiba sat down in a daze. "You can choose to not take the final question and fail. But you can take the exam again." Everyone had the same thought: don't take the question and fail, or take the question and stay a genin forever if the question was wrong. Either way, it's a no-win scenario. "And so, it begins," intoned Ibiki, his voice carrying throughout the room. When Ibiki asked the people who were going to not take the question to raise their hands, almost immediately, half the people in the room raised their hands. When their numbers were confirmed, they left. Sakura and Sasuke wondered what their teammate would do. Granted, Sakura had faith, but Sasuke had figured that Naruto would be better off quitting now so that they might have a better chance next year. Naruto grinned evilly. Plenty of people had played mind games with him when he was younger, so he was sort of mad that he didn't pick up on it earlier. He raised his hand, then he immediately slammed it down, and said, "I'd hate to have you as my psychologist." Everyone was gobsmacked by what he said. "They must be big," muttered a genin to the one next to him. "What?" asked the nudged genin. "The size of his brass balls." Meanwhile, with Naruto, "I'll take your life or death question, and I have no fear. I'm gonna become the strongest, so I can take whatever you throw at me." While Sakura and Hinata looked on in adoration, Ibiki narrowed his eyes. "Are you sure?" he asked. "Your very career is riding on your choice now, and I'm giving you a chance to back out while you still have everything." Naruto grinned and said, "You want to play rough? Then let's get wild." Ibiki had to hand it to Naruto, he had guts. Little smartass, he thought. "I guess there's no point in belaying the inevitable. You're an interesting one, Uzumaki Naruto." "Good choice," he yelled out. "Now to the 78 remaining, congratulations on passing the first test." At the blank and shocked looks Ibiki was getting, he launched into a speech of how the test was designed. The first 9 questions were based on information gathering skills, and the 10th question was a test of will and might. He then talked about how information, at times, is worth more than the lives of people, and to emphasize his point, he took off his bandana to reveal scores of slashes, burns, and screw holes in his scalp. This made nearly everyone unconsciously grasp the tops of their heads. The man had been tortured. He replaced his bandana, and then concluded with information being wrong would bring ruin to a mission, and to the one doing it. With that, he finished, a genuine smile on his lips, "I congratulate you all on making it to the second exam." No sooner had he said that, than a large something flew in through the window and landed in front of him. Kunai hit the ceiling, and the object flew open to reveal a banner and a woman. The woman wore a net outfit, an oversized jacket, more like a trench coat, a miniskirt, and a pair of shin guards. "That woman's gonna be the death of me," thought Ibiki. "Everyone, no time to celebrate. 'Cause the second examiner is here." She had one hand in the air and yelled, "I am Mitarashi Enko, second examiner of the Chunin selection exams." Dead silence, except for Naruto's whispered comment to Hinata, "Maybe?" Hinata's reply to that was a look that said, "Maybe later, but not now." Sasuke deadpanned, muttering, "Just what we need, a female Naruto." "Enko," said Ibiki from the side of the banner, "check the atmosphere." Enko blanched, and then recovered. "You let 26 teams pass, Ibiki? Losing your touch?" "Not at all, we just had some talented ones this time around." "Oh well." She gazed out at the teams left, grinned, and said, "You can be sure that I'll cut their numbers in more than half." That scared the crap out of a lot of people. She raised her voice. "Alrighty, prepare for the next exam tomorrow. We're gonna be somewhere else, so ask your Jounin sensei about it." Dismissed. The next day, the genin teams met at a place that had chains on the gate. "What is this place?" was the thought on everyone's minds. "Welcome to training area number 44, everyone." Then on an afternote, Enko added, "affectionately known as the Forest of Death." "Creepy," said Sakura, as Sasuke stood off to the side and Naruto surveyed the area he could see. "You'll find out soon enough how it got its name," said Enko, and she narrowed her eyes when she heard Naruto mutter, "Sounds fun." Enko grinned. "Fun, huh?" In the span of seconds, she drew a kunai and threw it, slicing Naruto's cheek and causing him to bleed. In the blink of an eye, she appeared behind him, licking his bleeding cheek. To Naruto's credit, he didn't flinch. "To laugh in the face of death, you've got guts, kid." Naruto smirked. "I get that a lot, but it looks to me that you want to lick something else." Sakura stifled a chuckle, and so did some of the males. Even though it was crass, the crazy snake lady had walked into it. Enko chuckled and held a kunai to Naruto's crotch. "A funny one, huh?" Her attention was caught by a kusanin, grassnin, who came behind her and held out Enko's thrown kunai with his tongue. "You drop this." Enko took back the kunai, grinning, and said, "Thanks, but don't sneak up behind me unless you want to die." Gagging from the stench of snakes coming from the kusanin, Naruto took this opportunity to squirm out of Enko's grip and rejoin Sakura and Sasuke, the former delivering a bop to her mate's head. "Baka." Enko blinked, then said, "Okay, before we start this test, I'm handing these out." Holding up a bunch of papers, she smiled good-naturedly and said, "These are waivers. There are going to be deaths during this part of the exam, and the responsibility will fall to me if you don't sign them." First, let me explain, she said, pointing at the fenced-off forest. Basically, everyone here is gonna be in a 5-day survival test. The area is surrounded by a fence, and there are 3 main features: the tower, in the center, the river, running through the forest and the tower, and the forest itself, running around the entire area. It's roughly 10 kilometers from one of the 44 gates to the tower, and once you guys are in, the gates will be locked, and you can complete your assigned task. At the confused look she got, Anko drew out a brown scroll with the kanji tsuchi on it, and a white scroll with the kanji ten on it. Each team will get either a heaven scroll or an earth scroll, and then it'll be an all-out scroll battle. Basically, you have to fight each other for a reverse scroll, like one team has to have both an earth scroll and a heaven scroll. There are 78 people here, meaning 26 teams. 13 would get a heaven scroll and 13 will get an earth scroll. I reiterate, you must get to the tower with both scrolls. Like I said before, you have 5 days to get to the tower. You'll be facing the same conditions any shinobi on a mission will face: hunting for your own food, constant threat of attack, lack of sleep, and great distance to complete your mission. So it's official, some will die inside. She then went over the disqualifications, either losing a teammate, or not getting the scrolls within the time limit. Another thing, don't open the scrolls until you make to the tower. Anyone who does will get a big surprise. Now, exchange the 3 forms I gave each team member for a scroll, then move to a gate. Lastly, don't die. As time passed, the teams got their scrolls and made it to their gates. Naruto stole Hinata away before Kiba could notice and held her hands. "You'll stay sharp, right?" he asked. Hinata smiled and kissed him. "I'll be fine, Naruto-kun. Shino will take care of me, and make sure Kiba stays away." Naruto nodded. "If we run into each other, we should join up. Safety in numbers, right?" Hinata nodded, and with a final kiss, they rejoined their teams. Soon after, the time came, and the second exam had started.